Yo, what up? Again, y'all already know. What up? What up? Y'all already know what it is. What's up? We locked in. We in the building. We got the real big homie or the real big homies in the building tonight. It's about to be epic. It's about to be epic. Y'all already know it's about to be epic. We got the real big homie or the big homies soul be in the building tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be epic. What's up? What's up, fellas? What's going on?
Man, just enjoying life, man. Working hard, getting to it, man. What it's about, man. Nothing but progression, bro. Nothing but progression, man. Individually and collectively. I mean, and collectively, that's the biggest thing. But we wanted to tap in on a lot of stuff that we were discussing in our last two episodes, man. There was a lot of talk on the streets, a lot of stuff we was hearing, things going on. So we gonna address it like G should and how we supposed to. One of the main things though, we wanted to let y'all know. I mean, those that been here with us from day one, those that respect and love, we locked in. And this one of the things that we keeping it with, and that's integrity. Staying locked in with that integrity, staying locked in with that honor. That means staying locked in with accountability. That means staying locked in with respect. I mean, and this is what we're doing, man. Saluting and congratulating those that are making a transition in life to empower not just themselves, but their family as well. No matter where you come from, no matter what you're doing. I mean, as long as you're about your people and you're about improving. I mean, so it ain't so much just, they're gangbangers and gang, it ain't just about that. I mean, that's where we come from. But the whole thing is about evolving. The whole thing is about becoming men and women. The whole thing is about becoming pillars in your community. I mean, being something that you can be looked at and respected by many. Hey, let me chill out. Where my guys at, man? Because I'm going to start going right now. My guys.
Yeah. Shout it out, man. Thanks, KK, man. Mikey B, man. Everything is all right, man. Shout it out to everybody that's tuned in. Y'all already know what it is. We here, man, with y'all, man. We here tuning in, man. We locked in, man. Thank y'all for being on board. If this is your first time pulling up, please subscribe to the channel, man. Hit that like button. Put your comments in the chat. We accept all comments. We want the good, the bad, and the ugly. We appreciate all that, right? We want all that. You know what I'm saying? If you're a troll, we definitely want to see you in the chat too. All right. But for the record, to KK's point, we got a lot of momentum, a lot of stuff from the streets that have been hitting us up in our inboxes and our DMs and so on and so forth. And individuals got a lot to say about those last two interviews. Shout out to Ashan, shout out to Pee Wee, shout out to everybody that pulled up.
All right, shout out to the bros, Pee Wee, Ashan.
Yeah, shout out to them, man. And first, I want to talk, about the Ashan video that has had a lot of traction. People have really, really given their opinions regarding it. They really feeling the, Ashan's his accountability. And so on and so forth. And, individuals feel the authenticity of that. And that's something that we definitely want to speak to. But we also want to move on from that, because one thing we don't want to promote the gang subculture and something that we were a part of. But it is a conversation that we need to have, because when we look at our communities today, our communities are overwhelmed with the gang subculture. I work in Brownsville. I work in a neighborhood that is overpopulated by folks and bloods from various sets and Crips and so on and so forth. So the youth out there need to know the origins of what it is that they are a part of. They need to know why they are representing what they're representing, and if whether or not they're being misled. And speaking from experience, I mean, those of us who have been Damu on the East Coast for some time, we're no longer a part of that lifestyle. For the record, we're just here to utilize this platform to help voice some of our experiences, shared experience, our individual experience, to say to the people out there, and to particularly the youth who might be listening to this, that you got to be very mindful of this lifestyle that you're living, because it comes with consequences. But more importantly, the people in your lifestyle may not have been giving you the truth. Perhaps you're just living a lie. Perhaps your elders misled you. And we're here to basically, man, bring this thing to light, man. And we have an elder here tonight, somebody who we've all been influenced by, who's going to shed some light regarding the truth, the lies, the deception, the trickery, and a lot of that came with that culture, which ultimately cost a lot of us our lives. Many of us spent, KK, Mikey, we spent over 77 plus years in prison. And as a result of that, man, we spent a lot of time in the box. We caught new bids. We shed blood. We got, persecuted and prosecuted. And we went through a lot for that lifestyle. And for the record, man, you know, a lot of it was based on, man, deception and deceit, man. And, you know, while we were able to establish relationships with our brothers, a lot of pain came with that. And what we're doing now is we're trying to heal and give back to our community so that the youth themselves are not further misled by a senseless and destructive lifestyle that has literally done nothing but cause us all harm. With that being the case, you know, I'm gonna turn it over to my brother Mikey. I know he has something to say, and then we'll just bring in the real big homie of all the real big homies. So B.
Hey yo, yeah, we blessed to have this platform, you know what I'm saying, to be able to impart this information to y'all. We just want to do it the right way. We don't want to come off as glorifying the gang culture and the lifestyle, because we know how it's impacting the communities. We don't want to, you know, use our histories and, you know, the things that we did in our past to glorify that. But we do want to use any clout that we got, any names that we got, to try to help the youth out there, to help the community deal with, you know, all the stuff that's going on with the gangs, and to teach a lesson if we can. One of the things that we try to do with WeLockedN is we want to open up the platform to a lot of these brothers to come up here to settle differences. We're not trying to stir the pot and start up anything new. A lot of people have been contacting all of us. A lot of official big homies, official real rights, have been contacting me and the homies. You know, me and Moshe and us, and you know, they want to come up here, and you know, some stuff we're gonna allow up here if it's fruitful, if it's positive, if it's things that the community can learn from, and it's not like opening up old wounds to a point where it maybe can start something new in these streets. We ain't trying to be on that time. We ain't trying to, start stuff. You know what I mean? We trying to make sure if guys want to apologize, if guys want to make amends, then the platform is open. Let them know the platform is open for them to do that, or even set the record straight with their lives and the things that they've been through in the community. Say their apologies to the community. The platform is open. WeLockedN is here for that. Young, old, elders, whatever, Crip, Blood, Latin King. You know, we don't care about none of that. We here for that. This is what this platform is here for. But on the same token, it's not here to agitate old wounds, to bring up old things, and to settle old beefs on the internet. You know what I'm saying? WeLockedN is not for that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, without further ado, man, you know, we got the big bro and the elder in the background. You know what I'm saying? Soul B. So if y'all ready, y'all brothers ready, we can bring them up now if y'all ready. I can't hear you, Mo.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Just for the record, man, we the people stocks. We do that too.
Let's bring Big Bro on. Where Big Bro at, man? What's up?
Without further ado, man, this is here goes Soul B, man. Y'all already know, man, a real big homie of all the real big homies. Salute. Soul B, what up? Salute, bro.
I felt like some theme music to come on or something for you.
Yeah, man, we need something, man. You gotta get your own beat and stuff.
First and foremost, man, I want to say I'm proud of you guys, man. You know, I watch you brothers grow from boys to men, come out here, transition, you know what I'm saying, into the fields you are, man. And I just have to applaud that, man. I mean, it makes me feel so great that my job was done. You feel me?
Right.
To have and to be blessed with brothers like you who basically took the information that I bestowed upon you, you know what I'm saying, the wisdom, and come out here to be the pillars in the community, to make the transition, to be those examples of those first generational principles, which it seems like we forgot, or we have forgotten, for whatever the reasons. Second of all, I like to apologize directly or indirectly to all of those who have been affected by the lies, the deceit, the misinformation, miseducation. You see, and I'm here to bring some clarity to East Coast history, good, bad, and the ugly. So this way, the younger brothers could have some clarity to make sound decisions if they still want to be a part of this lifestyle, which is still rapidly growing all over the country. due to brothers on the East Coast. Not taking away from our West Coast brothers, but you got to remember, they were in the street 60 years. We started this from the penitentiary. And man, you got Bloods all over the world, man.
Wow.
Due to both coasts' influence. But at some point, we have to give clarity. For the East Coast, yes, we need clarity on the history. We need clarity on the differences. Because it seems like nobody is coming up and really giving clarity. Y'all are products of that clarity. Although a lot of things historically y'all probably didn't get, but y'all got the basic principle. That's why y'all up here with We Locked In. And I want to applaud you for that. And I want everyone to tap in. Because I'm going to give it as the facts developed. Not as but as the facts develop. And I will let you know if it's first party where I was directly involved, or it was second party and I got it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, so and for the record, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, big bro. And we definitely appreciate you coming up here. We know that you're very busy. We know that you have a lot going on out there, but I also know that whenever we tap in with you, if it's coming from us, you're always going to basically lend a helping hand, because you are somebody who we benefited from directly. You know, we years ago when we were all tapped into the culture, you know, we got a lot from you. Yes, we know that it was a tough time. We know that it was a tough lifestyle, it was a tough era, but at the same time, you were one of the pillars that did, you know, your best to try to help raise us up out of that state of darkness that we was living. And we appreciate that. And we definitely commend you for that. We know that you had a heavy responsibility. We know that you were heavily scrutinized by the opposition. We know that you spent countless years inside of SHU alongside with us. We know that you suffered immensely. We know that your blood was shed. You went through a lot. You know, you lost loved ones while you were confined to that. And while doing that, you did a lot in terms of helping us to develop a mindset or a way of lifestyle that we will ultimately live as righteous examples. And I want to get to that, man, because you know, a lot of people, they hear us talk about that Don Moore or the blood lifestyle was on the East Coast was about fighting against oppression, and it was about living righteously. So people are caught up and they saying, how are you guys living righteously? How are you guys living upright? How are you guys fighting against oppression when, one, you guys were shedding blood, when you was fighting against an enemy, and then you yourselves became your own worst enemy? What do you say to stuff like that when you constantly hear it? Because we're always hearing it. How are you fighting against oppression? So I want to start getting to answering those questions before we start answering like the origins of stuff. But I think that's
all right. Yes. Well, I'm going to say this, right? I have about 40 years coming through the New York State prison system. Literally. I just got off parole after 40 years. You know what I mean? No longer attached to any institutions or systems. You know, so, and I did it my way. First and foremost, I was in the system, you know, before Don Moves developed, which I tried to give people a glimpse of what was going on in developing prior to 1993, the year of Blood's existence. A lot of people got caught up in the word and not the message. But around Kirk in 1991, a new generation of Latino brothers begin to enter the system. I think, as I still think now, how did you get prison gangs from Chicago, prison gangs from the island of Puerto Rico on Rikers Island in New York City? It had to be supplanted. But the difference is these were not Latino brothers who grew up in our communities, who had a more correlation. These brothers rarely spoke English, and they didn't share a likeness to us, which in that sense, you don't speak the language, so we can't communicate. It's the making for chaos. So a brother named Blaze, I knew Blaze from a prior bid. He came from Connecticut on to Rikers Island. I was down on Rikers Island at that time in family court for my son, my oldest son. And he was coming from Connecticut. So I seen him in the pen. He's like, yo, B.O., listen, I'm just new things to do. Now, I knew about Latin Kings because early on in the mid 80s, King Blood founded it, but they was a very, very small fraction at this given time.
Yeah.
And I always say this, which was told to me by a lot of brothers that was in the movement. Conditions breed change. So at that time, Kirk 91, there was conditions. Now you have a new influx of prisoners coming into prison who don't speak the language, although we dealt with our Latin brothers throughout the years from our community, because many of us from mixed communities. But these brothers weren't from our community. It's like they just supplanted them. And this is just my ideology to get to the point. It's just like the government supplanted them within that penal colony.
Yeah.
And we know our Latin brothers to have that unity. It's just historical. But they still dealt with us on a certain and equal level because we shared the same communities, the same conditions. We mess with sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
You feel me?
And Big Bro, you raise a valid point because, like you said, a lot of us come from East New York. A lot of us come from a Lower East Side. A lot of us come from the South Bronx. Most of our communities are overpopulated by individuals who speak Spanish of Latin descent. So when
Latin descent, yes, we intermix. So now, as I look at it today, 30 some odd years back, I say, wow. So now these new individuals, here come Blood. He has this new cultural thing. We kings, we And if you go back to that period of time from late 91 to 1993, it was the fastest growing gang in the country.
Wow.
Latin brothers took on to it. It began to spread like wildfires. Now, don't get me minded. Yeah, we had our differences with our Latin brothers, but this is like a whole new monster here.
Yeah, it was. It's crazy because we've come to find out they was misinformed as well.
Yeah. So now, is this by chance or was it something created? You feel me? So now I'm there, we moving around. You had the Live Brothers, Brooklyn, Bronx. We moving around while they growing. But for some apparent reason, because of their doctrines, Latins don't beef with Latins. And because of their strict recruiting laws, you had to be of Latin descent or directly Latin to be a part of them. Where that leaves the black man who doesn't speak the language, who can identify to the degree to the Latino culture, but you automatically excluded us. Things happen in prison. When you unify, things happen. So if we're focused on unifying with the exclusion of others, y'all are not going to get in beef with each other. Y'all band together for the common cause. And it just seemed like all the beefs, the cuttings with them was brothers. So at first, brothers was like, "Ah, nah, that's his problem," because you know we like that as black people. We don't have that sense of connection unless we know each other directly from the neighborhood. But just knowing the brother, he come in, 1,000 Spanish brothers can jump on him. We be like, man, I don't know what he did, and we'll see it happen. Just honestly, it ain't one of us directly. So as this began to occur, it started to give racial connotations. And officers, and you know, we just start to say like, damn, every time these dudes getting the beef. So I went to Blaze. I was like, yo, he was like, nah, B, you know, we could, cause we was cool, so it wasn't directly happening to me and my people, cause we was gay. We was in the Brooklyn Renegade Guards. So, you know, we got down. So it's like, nah. But then I seen these other brothers who didn't really identify at all. So then this is 91 now, coming into 92. I think probably every Latin brother that was Latin, outside of many of those who was probably a part of the 5% Nation of Guards and Earths, were Latin Kings, Nietas, or some other Hispanic. Even the brothers that were cool with us, that had power in the Latino community, switched over for whatever their reasons were for power. And we're sitting here, so I never forget it. As I mentioned in my first interview, my little man got into something in 9 and 11 lower, some Spanish dudes, you know, because I didn't look at that. I'm like, but the result was this cut I got on my face. This was a freebie. Nothing, no gang, no do nothing, you know, just because I told my little brother, yo, come over here. You know what I'm saying? I caught this cut. When I got cut here, man, thank God for my relations with brothers, but that was the first time in C95 they ever seen brothers band together and get busy.
And now one of the Latin dudes that jumped in and end up cutting.
Yes, cutting from the blind.
So just for the record, this is before 1993. So what you're saying, and just for clarity, so that people out there listening, is that you saw that there was a shift in the prison culture in terms of the dynamic between so-called Latino gangs, or the gangs that became Latin gangs that were ultimately rising. Yeah. You saw that this was ultimately an ingredient that contributed to the mistreatment of blacks. That's one point that you're making. And then you're saying that you were the unfortunate victim, although you were a part of no gang or whatever. I know you mentioned that you were a renegade guard. I'm going to get into that as well. We're going to get into that. But outside of that, you had nothing to do with whatever was happening in there. You just happened to get cut by individuals who were of these so-called Latin group.
Yes.
So what building was this in? C95.
C95. Yes. That was May 26, 1992.
Okay. So now I got a question for you, big bro. Because Latin Kings. Now I know you mentioned that you believe that perhaps the government has something to do with planting a lot of Spanish-speaking, non-English-speaking, so-called Latino brothers inside of these penal colonies. But from what we were taught, and correct me if I'm wrong, but based on your observations, from your knowledge, they, in all defense of them, King Blood and them and their comrades, they say that they came together because they was also being oppressed by blacks in their era. So I wasn't there, KK wasn't there, Mikey wasn't there. So
I was there. Yes.
Do you believe that they themselves were being oppressed, and which ultimately led to them banding together, and that, to your point, oppression breeds resistance and resistance breeds change?
Yeah, but they didn't have, in 91, those brothers didn't have direct connection to brothers that started in 86. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't. It was King Blood started that in Collins in '86, and yes, they might have been victims of renegade gangster guards or blacks, and I'm not saying they right, but it wasn't to the point of the '91. That changed the dynamics. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't connected, although they were part of the same gang, because Blaze came with a charter. If you read the case, Connecticut Latin Kings, they have the charter, the real Chicago charter.
Chicago charter, yeah.
Not the King Blood made up.
Yeah.
Because when I looked at King Bloods and them, their lessons in 1987 in Clinton, their lessons was like the lessons from, you know what I'm saying, the Nation of Islam, the gods and earths. And I said, yo, how y'all gonna copy? So he did what Mac did, a remix based on what he knew. When Blaze came, he had an original charter. You feel what I'm saying? That was the difference there. So I'm not saying they was in just cause that they felt they was being oppressed and Latins had to unite, because Latins is already united. It's in their blood. It's in their culture. They don't got to know each other from nowhere. Oh yeah, y'all, bro, come down. You in. You feel me? It's always been like that.
I'm seeing a pattern, and I know that you're showing a differentiation between both groups, the one from '86 and then the ones who came later. Those who may or who were perhaps being oppressed by blacks, which ultimately led to them being constructed, and then these other individuals who just banded together, not necessarily because they themselves were being oppressed, but because they just banded together, and as a result of that, their unity resulted in them oppressing other individuals, right?
Yeah, so it's like when he came for strict recruitment. That's why it grew so fast. And he used the elements of history. We kings, cacique, Ararats, you feel me? You know, kings, Taínos, you know, he used, and that's already in their culture. So they felt we belong, we strong, you feel me?
Basically creating a divide now, that those that was already socializing and mingling with black people who already grew up in that culture, now it's like, you're separating now from them. You're pulling away from them now. We're over here, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Because when I start doing my history and reaching out to the noble lords, which the Latin kings became a part of, being a part of peace, when I start doing my history, Panama was a black brother. Like, you got black Latin kings in Chicago.
Yeah.
You feel me? So when they came over here, why were we excluded? That's why it made me believe now. You know what I'm saying? In retrospect, that it had to be supplanted, brother.
Say King Blood.
That just couldn't have happened.
Right. For the record, I see a lot of comments in the chat, and that's great. Please keep your comments up. This is great for the conversation. But if you guys have any questions, what we're gonna do at the end, we're gonna actually ask be questions. So if you wanna be mindful, save your questions for last at the end. Any questions you have for the elder, you can throw them right at them.
You can put the questions in. Mo, they can put the questions in the chat. I've been starring all the questions they've been having. I'm already starring the questions, so we're gonna have the questions starred, and I have them. I have them all ready for the end.
All right, so let's get to it, right? Because we know that.
Let me say something before you go on, Mo.
Okay, I apologize. Go ahead, Mike.
I did my first bid in 1994. You know, I know the guards. I was messing with a lot of the guards. I wasn't guard at the time. I didn't. Latin Kings never did nothing to me. I got into some with a net. I popped on a net over the phone, upstate. But that's it. I had a couple of fights on Rikers Island with, a couple of black dudes. I didn't really see no real oppression where I was at from Spanish brothers themselves. So, when I actually joined up, it was against oppression from the police specifically. It wasn't really from, you know, even though, you know, I helped out with what was going on as a neutral, you know, bro, seeing what was going on in Green with the Latin Kings, because I came home from Green. I did a bit in Green from 1994 to 1996, and then I came back in 1996. But so I helped out some homies. You know, I actually went to the yard and helped out some homies that was having a hard time in Green because Bloods couldn't live in Green at the time. But other than really that, they was shooting. They was cutting their own people too. They cut a lot of Spanish people, bro.
Well,
They
I
didn't
had a
just-
question.
I didn't see it was. I didn't think it was just. Maybe from our view, you would think it's like they're against black people, but they cut a lot of Spanish people, a lot of Dominican people.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this to say, I'm not saying that was their overall goal and objective. But when you look, once you exclude individuals based on race, creed, color, language, and you're formulating a unity amongst those who identify and have that in common, mind you, we're in a small environment. So if it's two phones and we're the majority, there's a power struggle there. So the unity that brought us together is not going to allow us to go against each other. Survival. We're going to band together like wolves, and we're going to, what happens, even if you take the connotation of gangs away, Latin brothers have always stuck together. I have plenty Latin comrades. So, like I said, I got 40 years experience, bro. And when these news, just like, I don't want to take it off course, when I came home to my neighborhood, which is the largest West Indian population in outside of Jamaica or the West Indies, Flatbush. When I came home after my first bid from 82 to 88, there was a new Jamaican out there, brother. There wasn't the Jamaicans that grew up with me, went to school. These dudes was Kirker 85, Shower Posses, the Spangler, Dunkirk. I ain't know none of these dudes, a whole different breed during this crack era. So I'm saying from the perspective of me now, I like with the conspiracy, I just believe it was a sub-plan. I'm saying this 30-some years later, to understand why this actually happened to the magnitude that it did. Brother, I mean, statistically, if you go back and look, okay, regularly it was like, say, a year, it was like 50 cuttings. But during that period, 1993 to 96, you probably had over 700 and some or more cuttings a year.
All right, so let's speak to that. Let's get to that period. Let's speak to that period in which there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of violence taking place in that early 91, 92, 93 era, right? Let's speak about that, because there were a lot of different black groups.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there were a lot of groups like the Lion with Scully and them. Shout out to Scully. I know Ian Yard right now.
Jamaican posse.
Black Lions, that's right.
We know that
Scully. Jamaican posse.
We know that they were there. The Lions and them were there. We also know that that Smoke was there, right? But there were a lot of black and those renegade guards. Also some guards who had knowledge, who were conscious enough to also say, you know what? Something's wrong here, because yes, there was wrong taking place. And speak to what was actually happening in terms of the consciousness of individuals feeling like, and I'm talking about before Mac decided to say we're gonna give it a name. I'm talking about that individuals were making a conscious effort to fight back against the injustices that they were witnessing.
Okay, well, like I said, after that happened with me, I was just dolo with niggas that boom, I went to the Beacon. I didn't want to just randomly cut any Spanish dude because of my consciousness. You feel me? Although I didn't really do nothing. I didn't do nothing. The dude just see me, whatever, And I guess they pointed, he got a freebie because I didn't even see him. So I didn't want to just cut any Latin brother. You feel me? So when I went over to the Beacon, me and my big bro Cabessa, when I got over there, we end up, getting it in with some police. So now I'm moving around. Move me to the Queen's house, I'm moving around. So I'm seeing brothers, but me, I come from the era, if you directly involved, that's who I'm getting. I'm not going to get anyone else. So it wasn't until about August of 91. But during that period, that's when the situation happened with Scully and his people, you feel me? His grandma, that happened to a brother named Sean Green, who was Unique's from East New York little brother.
Hold on. When you're saying, specify that, because those of us that don't know, we know, but what are you talking about? What happened with the family members of others?
They cut his grandma, yes.
Okay.
This would led the reaction.
You talk about on the visit floor, people's family members.
Yes. So these were direct hits and direct statements towards blacks. That's how the Lion formulated. You feel me? So, these are young guys from my neighborhood. That's why Scully and them always big me up. You feel me? Foundation. They'll let you know, because I was going dolo. You know what I'm saying? And those who assisted me, but I was going dolo against these guys. They said, you out of here. You going back up top. So now as I'm hearing from there, because I was in Kaksaki at the time, they start formulating Kaksaki. But those were brothers who were in the state. So the influx of coming in off the street in the detention centers, and then those who have been a little sub-cell in the state begin to merge. This is what I'm experiencing. So I get to Kaksaki, it's on, but a lot of these brothers, I know them personally from Biggie. So by the time 93 came around, Scully and them was in the movement. They were already in these boxes. They was putting it in. The Lions was putting it in. This Kirka before 1993, July 16th. It didn't start July 16th. When Mac and them came in, it was going down. And the Yardman was at the forefront of the movement like Maroons, brother.
The Lions was wilding. They was
taking no prisoner.
Shout out to everybody who we're making reference to. I mean, and I don't want to invalidate nobody, because everybody is part of that culture. Whether they be Latin Kings, whether they be, it was a wild time. Shout out to them. Yes. But being that you're talking about the Lions, shout out to the Lions. No question about that.
Yes. They were like, brother.
Taught me, big bro. Go ahead, big bro.
They were like Maroons, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking from my Latin brother. I love my Latin brother. But what I'm saying, ignorance breeds chaos. Chaos breeds senseless violence. And because of the divide, the lack of communication, this is what it was developing into. So when that happened with the Lions and they building, now you get Omar Porti, OG Mac. But mind you, you still had Smokes. They were standing in their corner. You had Lions. You had Conscious Guards. You had the Renegade Gangster Guards. You feel me? You had brothers that was like, yo, but they were rapidly growing, brother, numbers-wise. That's why it was a saying for one of us, 10 of them, because we were small. You feel what I'm saying? So now I get up top, and I'm like, Dad, I knew about the small group from 86, but now it just seemed like everything just started coming together. Little contact. I know I ended up going to the box. I don't want to go through all that, but you know what I'm saying, because that's really not the point I'm trying to make. So by 1994, I'm in Sing Sing. I'm seeing the influx of bloods coming in. Brothers like Murdoch, Majesty from Harlem, Hollywood, Dollar Bill from East New York. At that time, I was a part of a group we formulated in the late 80s, Brother D. Wiz from Fort Greene, called the Black Guerrilla Family.
BGF, yep.
BGF. That was our state because other, I gotta say racist, they formulate a group called Macheteros, who was technically, historically, Lolita LeBron, Hector Collazo. They were the ones who stormed the embassy in 1957. They were revolutionaries. But the Hispanic brother,
their leader was killed in Puerto Rico a few years ago. His name was
that was
Filiberto
Albizu. Don Juan Albizu Campos.
No, not Pedro Albizu Campos. I'm talking about Filiberto Ojeda Rios. He was the one who the police cut all the power out of Puerto Rico and they killed him.
But in the politics of Puerto Rico, when you get into their politics, because they believe when they poisoned Don Juan Albizu Campos, they believed in his politics instead of the other guy.
Absolutely.
They wanted their own independence. And they know independence come through the barrel of a gun and not through the ballot, as Malcolm told us. So we formulated BGF for that purpose. So there was also another subgroup that was fighting against that same oppression in the state. The reason why in Comstock, they end up moving on the guards and they threw up the Puerto Rican flag and moved on the guards for nothing. Yes. So it's not like we didn't know about this in the state. So that's why a wing of BGF formulated, like George did.
So what was the consciousness? Now you've spoken about the consciousness. You spoke about the consciousness on Rikers Island, but what was the difference between the consciousness on Rikers Island versus what was happening up north? Because you spoke about people coming up north, and you was like, "Yo, what the heck is going on?" So we do remember the individuals like the Nubians and so on and so forth formulating.
No, they came Nubians. I was going to get to that.
Okay,
I was going to get to that.
Help us get that understanding, big bro.
It's because remember, like I told you, from the influx of the detention rapidly growing. 91, Kirk in 91. Kirk 1986 in the state. But they wasn't growing as fast. A lot of brothers, older brothers, you feel me? But they were there. So by the time 93, 94 came, the influx from the detention center and from the state merged. Because it's a fact, by the time brothers from Rikers Island start coming up, Latin Kings had the state. That's why brothers was coming up, and if you was identified as blood, you couldn't live in no state penitentiary. Facts. You feel me? So you have to understand that dynamics. How did it merge that quick?
That's how it was in Green. If they just said you was blood, you ain't have to.
You was out of it.
You could have
okay. So
that was just running with the homies or had beef with a Latin King dude, and they wanted you out of the spot. They could just say you blood, put that tag on you, and you was getting
and you out of it.
A lot of prisons.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody wasn't out of there because we was holding dudes down.
No, not everybody. Yes,
we was holding dudes down. So they wasn't just running. We was just letting them run down on anybody. Just
but they was doing it.
Neutral Brooklyn. I was neutral at the time, and so we wasn't just letting them run down on anybody. They tried to run down on Amin, but we was there. We stopped that. We stopped them from running down on Papa Jot.
Yeah, and they knew, and that's, I mean, they ran down on a lot of individuals who they kind of knew they can get away with.
They knew they can get away with it. That's what they call the Jamaicans. We had a crazy mob.
Okay, but let's keep it.
Go ahead, Soul.
Let's keep it at that point. Let's not make it. We know they wasn't running down on everybody, but how quickly did this influx of power from the state to the county merge when brothers come right out of downstate and can't live? That rapid. We're talking a couple of years here.
So that was a different. So what you're saying is that was a different concept where out of nowhere the dynamic shift. Now individuals saying you can't live in no jails, and most of the individuals they're saying that about just so happen to be black people.
Yeah.
Bloods.
Yeah.
Or who they believe were Bloods. You feel me? You see what he said? We band together, but if dude want to get you out there, he always had to say you was Blood. You were out. So I'm saying this type of dynamic I identified when George was explaining in Blood in My Eyes what happened in San Quentin with the Latinos and the Aryans. They were subplanting them in Tracy, subplanting them. We seen Blood in, Blood Out. We seen American Me. We're going to send you to Texas with you, and we're going to send you with money to build over there, to galvanize the brothers, form a coalition. Against who? Us. So I'm seeing this, and this is so clear to me now. You know what I'm saying? And so when that happened out of state, Attica, a brother dies at the hands of them over Army code. Other spots at the hands of them for whatever the reasons. So now you got older brothers in the state. It's like, yo, we forming together. Mind you, I was already in the state almost 7-8 years. I was down on the island in 91 for family court. So I'm already established in the state. I already stomped all these yards. I know all the movers and shakers, you feel me? So, as I said, when I got back up top, I'm saying, wow, how this happening? But my first representation in like I said, in 94, because me and Shaquell, we was in contact because Shaquell left me early 94, went from Wendy and went home. So when he came back on Rikers Island, we were in contact. That's when you can still just directly write.
So and I apologize for cutting you off. So I know you're going back and forth from the years. So when did you, for the first time, like when did you finally hear about this group called, in the midst of all of this racial stuff going on? When did you, if you can recall, hear the first time the Bloods, like it's this blood thing happening?
1994.
And where
1994.
And where were you?
I was in Sing Sing, but I was still in contact with brothers that was on Rikers Island at that time. I was in communication with them, writing them at that time. Shaquell is one of them.
And
Shaquell.
And what did you hear about this particular group? And what made you identify with what their purpose was? And once you heard about what they were doing, I
heard about the fact that they were standing up along with the Lions, because I knew about the Lions. Mind you, I was at the foundations of the Lions myself, many of them brothers. So although I was in line, I'm just talking about as far as me resisting back against these guys for what happened to me. So I know Scully and them, they was putting it down. That's why in the history they became known as the First Bloods, because they already had all the SHUs locked down. So no, we can't live in population, but if y'all come to these beings, and that was the homies, the time 94 came, the representation that I seen of the Bloods, because they was like, I'm saying, yo, I'm here, yo, murder, no, yo, shh. Niggas, I'm like, because soon as I got to Sing Sing, Latin Kings hit one of the guards. He came out, collapsed both his lungs. He then had to fly him out. So they wanted me to be on security. This is what I mean by renegade. I'm like, yo, hold up. These niggas just came and hit the guard. Y'all question them. We got to see why that happened. Huh? You got to see immediately retaliation. So I stopped fucking with the guards there, guards in Sing Sing. This is summer '94, and I built the branch of BGF because we reacting. We ain't waiting for you hit one of us and hit. We ain't waiting for you to go investigate or while y'all damn near killed this man. You feel what I'm saying? So I didn't like that representation. This non-force. I'm like, nah. So many of them, like Ron Dew, may rest in peace, Mike Tyson, Ron Dew, who I knew, Ronald Brooks, he came over and became BGF. Because mind you, Bloods was not established in the state. Latin Kings were stronghold. So now, getting to the point, end of '95, beginning of '96, Shaquille and Corey King came to Sing Sing. These were leaders of the newfound set Gangster Killer Bloods. Although Shabazz came through, but he came, put work in, he was gone. You know Shabazz, Red Rider. Well, he was Valentine at the time.
Valentine.
Yeah. There was another GMB homie named Tone. He was half Spanish because remember, GMB was already in the state. No other sets was flourished in the state. You feel me? Because at that time, a lot of guys didn't get when Mac, after he came down in '95, the organization that he put together with all the sets. You feel me? So brothers was just B gang. They were just peace, blood, peace almighty, peace, blood. You feel me? That was the thing. That wasn't no generals. It was just, it wasn't none of that. No organization. So when Quell and Corey came through, who was like my little, well, not like, they're my little homies from the neighborhood. You feel me? I was like, yo, I told Lumumba, Black Lion Lumumba, and I told Black Lion Jock. I said, yo, I'm in A block, they in B block. I said, yo, those my homies. Well, Quell was good because Quell knew numerous guys who was, so he was good because he knew a lot of Spanish brothers too. But CK, I told Lumumba and Jock, yo, hold my little homie down. Just hold him down. He gonna get busy or whatever. So now all the homies heard coming up and downstate that Sing Sing was a safe haven because at the time, these are two founders of the Gangster Killer Bloods. Sing Sing became a safe haven. Now, because these was my homies, I'm going all the way. If I'm going, you have power hitters. Brooklyn is gone, you feel me? But I still didn't feel the fact to affiliate myself because of what the weak links I seen 2 years prior. So what happened was Dr. Julius Garvey came in, Marcus Garvey's actual son. He bought a movie called Sankofa. But prior to that,
I remember that shit too, Sankofa.
Yes, Sankofa is a Akan word that means return to the past so that you can proceed in the future. You know, great movie. But simultaneously, one of my mentors, Cardell Sherrod, Blood, he was one of the educators of the Black Studies, one of the most knowledgeable men I met in my entire life. I haven't met a man as knowledgeable as Blood when it came to African history and our cause and purpose and how we fit in to a fragmented history that has been destroyed. And he pulled me to the side one day because, you know, I had all the little young G's.
And this is in Sing Sing, correct?
This is in Sing Sing.
Okay.
I had all the young G's. Now, mind you, I used to tell them, yo, what you do on Saturday, big bro? Yo, get your pen, get your notebook, come with me. Because they had me recruiting the young bloods. B.O., that's your job. Bring some young blood. We got all these old, bring some young bloods in here. So I used to have all the, not homies, but you know, little homies, not bloods as in homie, bringing them down to the Black Studies class, because this is where we was at. There was so much information and knowledge there. So one day we had a discussion. It was Blood, Asar, a few other old timers, some brothers from the movement, Malik. They was like, yo, B.O., them young brothers need you. Now I'm a renegade God, but education and, you know, that was always my thing. They said, yo, they need you. So obligatory, I said, you know something, all right. So I never forget, at that time, CK and Quell was having a power struggle. I don't know if well, I'm gonna say honestly, they had a power struggle in different methods, because CK was at that time, he was on go. He come under me, all that talking, all that trying to pop on go. Quell had a more intellectual approach, and they used to go at it. So one day, you know, I seen that in the mess hall, they was about to go at it. So we all went down to the to the clinic. We met, and that weekend I ended up seeing the movie Sankofa, and I seen the brothers tie the red bandanas on, the maroons, going back into the plantations, helping brothers escape. And it came to me, because before I join anything, it has to have some cause. You know, I'm conscious. I just can't just, I've been Jolly Stompers when I was younger. You know, I've been through that. Crews, Puma Boys, Cats, you know, so that's, you know, I already knew about gangs, so that wasn't my thing. I'm God Cypher Divine. So they was like, come on, bro, you gotta come home. You gotta come home, bro. Come on, you gotta come home. I said, you know something, because of the influence of the movie, and that they told me it was my obligation to assist these young brothers because they got something. That's what the elders told me. Because they had the unity, all they needed was the knowledge of self to create that movement. I joined. So now the argument was this, you know, because the rules say you got to put in work to get your paperwork and do everything. I was an exception to the rule because I was already established. But as I told Quell and him, I said, nah, I'm going to stay a soldier. I don't want no position. I don't want, because the homies was already gravitating towards me. I had all the Wizzy, you know what I mean? I was moving, giving them wholesales. They come in sneakers, setting them up, whole setups. So they were already feeling that. At the time, you had brothers like D-Dog, you had Lucky, you had Baby Gangster, aka Nilo, you know what I'm saying? Just to name a few, because Bloods wasn't that big in the state yet. So when I came home, we established with the Latin Kings that I knew, yo, okay, we don't believe in peace treaties. We have a line of discipline. So you know, with a line of discipline, nothing has to be said. You cross over that line, you declare war. We fire it. So for like 8 months, we were good. Bloods is coming in, we getting our numbers up. Quell in B block, I'm in A block, then I pull CK over, and this is flourishing all on the island. Yo, Sing Sing is a place, that's a beat. Latin Kings couldn't stand it, but we was that strong. You feel me? We was that strong. If I had a chance to do it again, I'll do it again. Yes. Yes. We were that strong, brother. You know, and we had the support of the people. They didn't say, oh, they hate these, but we had the support of the people because of the mind state and everybody there. It was about time for this right here. What happened was a brother named Freedom from Tompkins, him, Pure Blood from out of East New York, Supreme, he ended up robbing this Japanese kid who was under the Latin Kings guide. Not really, but they used it as a means to move on Freedom. Although they didn't move, they got another Spanish brother named Ace to stab Freedom. Right in front of him. We locked out. He hit Freedom right in the head and the neck in front of the police. I gives him $150. All hell broke loose. I'm just eating. Wah, 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 wah. Squad comes, I locks back in my cell. We locked down for 3 days. When we come out after quarantine, it pops again. B block popped. So they didn't never seen a chain reaction. We locked down again. They said, Sing Sing can't stay locked down too long. They gave us up. This is when Cochran first had his first-hand information into this new group with all this damn red. Now, mind you, the state has influxes they never seen. So when we all left, Sing Sing, that created the influx of bloods all around the state. Me and Quell, that's why I said, we went to Attica. This is about October 96. We went to Attica. CK went to Clinton. Pure, and then went to Comstock. Uni went to Elmira.
Spanish Uni?
No. Uni that from Ocean Hill, Brownsville. I brought him in. Him and Bar went to.
You talk about Big Uni? Yeah,
to Elmira. So now you got straight dudes who've been established in the straight, but now they waving this flag. Because when I came home, I brought nothing but gangster killers home. You feel me? Like literally, not shine, not later. Gangster killers. Niggas is gonna live and die. And as I gave it to them, when I committed, they committed just as hard. And we got to Attica. They was, I ain't gonna lie, I never forget it. I had a Woolridge red, like the wool shirt.
Hold on, big bro. Before we get to Attica, let's ask a few questions now, because I know
you, brother. You know I get to going.
Yeah, you spoke about a lot. Nah.
I was thinking about something too.
I love the narrative, because the narrative is important, because a lot of people might be, they tuned in, they want to hear this history part, but we got to ask some questions. So, and this is for our viewers, but also for a lot of people that's listening out west too. And I'm specifying this for a reason, because this is important. So a lot of times we hear that our West Coast counterparts, when they initially, they heard about this movement that's happening on the East Coast about Damu, and we've heard, and I've heard it personally myself, that people took offense to that. So you're telling me now, when you first got wind of it, you saw that it had a lot to do with brothers banding together to fight back against what you perceive and what we now know to be the conditions at that time, right? So did it have anything to do with what you knew is a West Coast culture where individuals were banging against Crips, where it was that culture that was happening?
No.
What did you feel at the time that you were embracing Damu? I know you said that the elders advised you.
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you this: we were more identical. Now, mind you, I was BGF. We modeled that after George. So specifically, we had no connotations to what those brothers was doing out in, California. We were more focused on our conditions in prison. So we modeled. When I came along, I began to get, because BGF was a lot of older dudes.
Yeah.
The homies were younger, then it was vibrant. They was, homie, it was crazy. Like I said, 110. So it was an automatic reaction, no questions. Yo, homie got hit. Who? Once the enemy is identified, and it didn't matter at the time, although Latin Kings, Nietas, and other organizations who bounded together, formulating coalitions to go against us. Because remember, we were the minority. We were not the majority.
Yeah.
So we more took a model of George Jackson formulating the Black guerrilla family in San Quentin.
So why was the name Blood used? Because I know these questions have to be asked, but why not use like the sun, the moon, and the stars? Why the name Blood? Like why?
Okay. Okay.
Why connect it?
Brothers.
I mean, we're
okay,
gonna
I'm gonna tell you.
We gotta go into the history, big bro, about Mac naming it blood and stuff. But
okay,
I mean,
listen.
But why? Why the name blood?
I'm gonna tell you. Okay, this is what happened. I was not there when it got that name, but I'm going to give you shared history that no one is giving anybody, to the direct individuals who were there. Rudy Red, OG Mac, Lilo, Polo, and Drew. Though all of them are from the Bronx. All of them knew each other from the Bronx. The B at that time represented Bronx Bomber. It was no blood, Bronx Bomber. Rudy said that Lilo built the shirts. The bandanas came into play because Rudy was going bald. So he used to wear the different bandana, Tupac shit, you feel me? OG Mac was locked up in Baltimore. Now, mind you, at this time, you got Smoke holding its own. You got the Lions holding its own. Now, this is 93. You got all of these individuals holding their own. So these Bronx boys with Mac was like, yo, things was happening, but dudes was individually handling the situation outside of the Lions, who were already in the Bings established, you feel me? So Mac was like, yo, I was in Baltimore system, and yo, they had Bloods, they was doing it like this. And as I see it now, that just had a unity. It wasn't like, yo, we Bloods from out west, because you had Bloods came here and it didn't work. He tried it in the street, it didn't work. It was just something that, as the word has a very historical meaning in the African diaspora, blood. That ain't no street gang out west. That's something brothers developed and know. So it's just that brothers identified with that. Because number one, the guards was restricted. This is how the gang thing entwined with that. The guards was constricted because the guards was like, yo, God, we ain't moving for no Bill Powers. Here, Bill Power, we ain't moving for them. So they formed an alliance with the powers that be. The Muslims. Yo, our kid, he gotta take his shahada if we gonna be behind him. So they formulated an alliance. You feel me? As a superpower. So now what happens is this: if these groups formulated an alliance, then what happened to the brothers that don't want to be a part of nothing? That's how nickel bags, head wraps got into the codes, because they didn't move on the strength they were black, because their religious philosophies excluded them from involving themselves on a black issue.
But Mac's story was predicated, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, there was some claim that he actually was out there and he received blessings.
Yeah, from
I mean, you probably had no knowledge of it then.
No, listen. 19. Well, I'm gonna tell you why I know. I had factual information. 1997, I got in touch with T. Rogers, right? Directly. T loved it the way I built. We built because, you know, Peace Stones, you know what I'm saying, are designed from the Maurice Science Temple with the runks, and you know what I'm saying, the stone. They have a more scientifical outlook on their movement as a gang with the consciousness. So me and T used to build. I got in touch with a brother named G1. He was a triple OG from Denver Lane. That's triple OG, 30 years. His name is G1. We used to communicate all the time. So he asked the question, who's this guy? This is during what Mac did the New York blood thing. So all around the country was getting hooped. Now, who's this guy? What charter with him? So G1 said, what's that? So I told G1, I said, yeah, he was out on Normandy, boom, on Miller, and boom, he was with Bloody Mary, what was told to me. And he said, brother, how old is that brother? I said, well, he can't be. He said, listen, Gangster Miller and Gangster Millers, there's only two sets that got gangster. Gangster Miller and Van Ness Gangsters been faded from 1983. Meaning faded, they faded out. So only motherfuckers claiming that have to be at that time in their mid to late 50s. So it was impossible for Mac to be a part of Gangster Miller. Then he said he changed it around because out west didn't want to be Gangster Millers. They didn't want they set to be don't. So he switched it around and put Miller Gangsters, GMB. It was a lie. It was great for the time and strategic, but in facts today, it was a lie.
So, you know, when I came home, originally turned blood under GKB, right? In my lessons was, if I was to ever go to the West Coast, I was not supposed to rep GKB. I was supposed to rep Miller.
I'm telling you, it was a lie.
Hold on. Was that? Did you get that in the lesson? Did you see that in the lesson? Did you understand that?
No,
did you see that?
I've never seen that in no lessons, brother.
You never heard that we were supposed to rep Miller if we went to the West Coast? You never heard that?
I mean, technically, but I never seen it in no GKB lessons, brother.
I mean, when I originally came home, I mean, like, you know, everybody was down there in Rikers Island. A lot of people still down there in Rikers Island still. That's what I got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that
I had that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that too.
Did y'all get that too or not?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you.
That must be the memo after you left.
Maybe it was us who unfortunately got that, but I remember seeing that. Right. So
that's the memo we got.
What I'm saying to you, it's like
not rep GKB when you go to the West Coast.
Okay. Let me clarify this. It's because we believe that Gangster Millers was the birth of us here.
All right.
It was specific.
All right, hold on. For argument's sake,
if he was Miller
I'm saying this is what I'm saying. Everybody believed OG Mac back then. He brought all official real gangsters from New York home under this. So I'm going with Mac was really a Miller gangster from the West Coast.
Okay,
somebody proves that differently. I'm saying Mac was brought home by the West Coast.
Okay, so
but listen to what I told you.
Hold on, big bro. If that's true, big bro. If he was a Miller gangster, Mikey just doing that for the sake of argument, right? But check this out. Check this out.
I believe OG Mac.
Check this out. If he gonna go with that, then who gave Mac authority to open up other sets like Bloodstone Villain and 5'9" Brim? Because out west, can't no bounty hunter go to a Brim hood? Can't a double OG or triple OG that's a bounty hunter go to a Brim hood and say, "Yo, I'm making you a OG of Brim because I said so." So I'm trying to figure out how was he allowed to do that, to open up West Coast hoods in New York?
He just listen. This is what that's why I was trying to get. I was trying to get to the point. And this is because, you know, I come. Okay, Mikey. Let me just explain something to you, right? Let me explain. I'm not saying we all believe Mac, but one thing about Soul B just doesn't take things on face value. I've been groomed like that from the Nation of Gods and Nerds. So I did my research because I wanted to be totally justified for me shedding his blood for this information. Now I got the revolutionary part and all that. All right, I know about the George, you know, don't get me wrong. But now let me give me some foundation because I just didn't want to, and I began to investigate. That's how I found out through T. Rogers, from Mouth and the brother G1 from Denver Lane, who was a triple Denver Lane OG. He's very well out known in Denver Lane. We had direct communication. This was a little while later, like 97, 98. And I began to propagate this. So when me and Mac used to communicate, Mac was like, yo, damn, you know not about West Coast. I said, nah, not that I know. I investigated. I knew the sets. I knew everything. And then come to find out, they were saying he got it in Mississippi, but he didn't get to Mississippi. That's why he added the 5-point star, where the brothers out west don't add the 5-point star. That has no significance outside of Black P stones.
Yeah.
You feel me? So now I'm beginning like, yo, hold on. Now going to what Moshe said. Now remember, it was no organization and no sets up until 1995. Nobody knew who Mac was. Just knew the name. Dudes was just banging Blood Gang. That's why in the second generation, he took it back and said B to the L. From the Blood Gang in 98 to the newly developed UBL, L Gang. The B train, that's where that came from. So it was Blood Gang, but then once he read Monster Cody book, he became creative. He said, okay, 5'9" is faded out west. It's 6 deuce and 6'4". We're going to bring that back. Here, he didn't have no charter to do it. This was just his strategic, because remember, his enemy was an original Bronx gangster, strong as hell. So Mac really developed his family to go against him. But it just so happened what was going on, the conditions with the Latin brothers. That's why Mac was cool with a lot of Latin. His baby mother's Latin. Mary baby, his daughter, who was named after this shit. His baby mother's Latin. He lives on 183rd, a Latin community.
Yo, it's crazy. I was just sitting here thinking just to the correlation, right? How intentionally, but unintentionally in a way, whereas things are getting started unofficially, right? These names are being brought up, but you have individuals, because I started doing it myself as well. You have individuals who started reaching out to really dig deeper, finding out that, hold up, Bloodstone Villain, they got it's a set out there. UBN, what? UBN is a real thing. UBN is officially part of the People's Nation. So when you started going in and be finding out, like, oh damn, we done got deep rooted. So those of us who did the study, and like you said, those, like yourself, who came from there, that's when I started finding that out. But it was a very few of us though who were doing it, because the majority put up in the actual struggle and the fight that's going on, and not really taking the time to really sit and look and analyze. All right, what am I
think, and KK, I validate that, and I'm gonna say this to Big Bro. You know, I just kind of feel like, man, it to me, I kind of feel like we were all duped, because look, and I don't mean that, and I don't mean that in the sense that the essence of we're gonna take a stand against oppression, and we're gonna come together to band against oppression as brothers. We're gonna hold each other's down. We're gonna unite ourselves. We're gonna elevate ourselves, empower ourselves. We're gonna do everything in our power to fight back against what's wrong and stand for what's right. I just kind of feel like the information as it trickled down and we received it, I kind of feel like we were misled, we were duped. A lot of information just wasn't right and exact. It just wasn't the truth. Now, when Mac went home, I just kind of feel like y'all did your best to try to pull it all together and make the corrections from a lot of those teachings that misled so many different individuals. I know we're going to get to that, but I kind of feel like in the first generation, individuals, and I do blame a lot of the elders. I do think that the elders themselves knew. Do I blame you? I think you came a little later, and I think you just admitted that your introduction into the lifestyle was predicated on a different concept. But you personally did have a relationship with Mac as well, and as all of the elders did. But at what point did you realize that, yo, man, we're being misled? Like everybody was being misled. When did you find out that point?
Well, okay. This was once he did the Feds magazine, right? And at that same time, it was going around that Mac was a rat, right? A lot of brothers, you know, Shaquille was pivotal in exposing this factor. You feel me? Kirk in 97. You feel me? He was very pivotal. Him and some other brothers who were in Southport at this time and getting the paperwork to prove the fact. Me and a lot of other brothers knew, but you know, sometimes truth out of season would be unsuccessful. So that's why CK got who at it before, spreading it, and it just wasn't the right time for him to spread the fact that Mac was a rat.
And you're saying that this is pertaining to
Mo,
the case that he got locked up.
1 second, Mo. Yo, it's 300 in the building, man. Hit the like button. It's like 100 likes. Come on, get the likes up. Stop it.
Please hit that like button, y'all.
Great content. Stop it. Hit the like button. Go ahead. Excuse me, Mokshay. Keep going.
Okay.
So you're talking about the time when Mac took the stand against this is like in 1989.
87.
87. That's the case that you're making reference to, correct?
Yeah, yes, to Don Q. I got Don's number now, personally in contact, read the paperwork. It's true. It's not a hoax. It's real.
Okay.
He got that man 25 years for nothing. I can give you the reference to the cases and everything if you want them. You know, leave them in the comments for brothers to read them.
Okay. Okay. Now we listening. Yeah, big bro.
Okay. So now at this point, the influence of individuals, the Soul Bees, the Shaquells, the Hellraisers, the Izzes, the Dizzies, all of these big homies, they begin to gain their own personal power within the UBN, with their personal sets, the Thai Guns, the Uns, the Bad Vibes, the SIs, everybody. Hold on, pardon me, that was wifey.
the real big homie of the real big homie.
Yeah. So everybody began to gain their power. But let me make this first and foremost. We believed in Mac. Never ever take. I myself believed in Mac. I never forget it. I sent him a book. This is why he loved me so much. I said, brother, you need to cop this book. It's by Hakeem Adetabuti called Clash of Races by Hakeem Adetabuti. He said, brother, man, from that point, he designated, because that book is so powerful. They was locking brothers up in Attica for that. Matter of fact, Quell ended up getting locked up for that book. And that book gave you the comparative studies of every movement, every black movement. This is why the second generation was supposed to be, the first was nothing. That was just established. That second generation was supposed to be so powerful, like you brothers right here. Y'all, that's what, like y'all right here, that's how the second generation was supposed to be. Us at this point, dialoguing, building solutions, clarifications, you know what I'm saying? That was the vision. So never think for one point that we did not love Mac. We did. We were hurt. So when we found that out, this is when the chaos came in. Individuals start thinking individually. Quell, he started in Southport at that time, United Black Militia. Because dudes say, we ain't leading behind no rat. Oh, he's a rat. That thing ain't no good. You know what we said? We said, SI Goo, they fought against that. And I guess he believed that because we had a history, I was like, no, I didn't come in under an individual. I came in nation building. That's how it got me. I came in to build a nation, like I assisted in, building the 5% nation of gods and earths from the teachings. You feel me? So I say this to say is that created another thing. So now this is where I guess y'all was directly involved in. After that attempt to change the narrative of the UBN, although yes, the UBN came from California with the brother Peabody in them, they formulated a coalition because when brothers was coming in, they were still, set banging and fighting for power. So they formed a coalition of many sets and everything to give prison more of a organized environment because of the state of danger in the California state prisons. So me and SI got in touch with a brother who was from Texas, but he came from in the federal system. And he gave us the real rules of UBN and the bylaws and everything. Because as I told T offered us a charter for the brothers out west. Yes, may he rest in peace. T. Rogers offered us a charter to all become Black Peace Stones. And I personally told T, I said, T, I can respect that. But we here in New York got our own thing. Our thing is different from out west. That was the distinguish. We had our own history. We got our own OGs. We got our own cause. We don't bang on Crips. We didn't have no beef with Crips. Our thing was the individuals who were directly oppressing us, as we believed at that time, which was Latin Kings, Nietas, and any other Hispanic or Latino gang that was a part of that coalition, because they formulated a coalition against us. You feel what I'm saying? So we had an opportunity to get a charter. I denied it because we didn't need it.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
I actually was questioning. I said, "Why you did that?" But I understood it though. I understood later.
Pardon me, I apologize, KK. So and it's crazy because when I think about how T and them went out west back in '69 and they opened up a chapter of Peace Stone out west, in the jungle, and I'm thinking about that. So that was T's way of authenticating those of us out, I mean, on the East Coast in New York. But you and some of our other elders, SI and all you guys already felt like we were authenticated because we were doing something that was totally distinguished from what was happening out west, that we didn't need that. Okay, so why do you feel that even though Mac, that you now admit he was dishonest and deceitful regarding the origins of Damu, what would make you think that we did not need authorization from those individuals out west? Because this is what you would naturally think would be the case. And I'm gonna say this before you answer it. If somebody was a part of your set and you heard that they started a charter somewhere if someone was not a part of your set and you just heard that somebody used your name, your brand in Arkansas somewhere, and they next thing you know, they got a whole nation, you probably would feel like they owe you some respect for doing that. Why do you think that they did not have to, or why do you think you guys did not have to seek authorization from individuals out west?
I think, I cannot answer why Mac chose BSV, which has come to known to me. I think the brothers is out of Watts. Salute to all the BSVs. You know what I'm saying? From Chicago. From California. They was named because I was getting, like I said, I was building with brothers after that. They said, that's how that set came about. They said, well, you remember it was a group called Bloodstone. You feel me? So I guess that's how that set came about, Bloodstone Villains. I think because those sets were like played down, Mac felt he was doing an honor. Because it's only two West Coast sets. 5'9" Brim, who was no longer 5'9", they were 6 deuce and 6'4". So I guess he was doing it an honor to name those two sets over here.
But why do you think that we didn't? Why do you think that we did not have to get authorization from over there when it was obvious that what Mac said was that he got his origins from over there? But once you guys realized that that wasn't the case, why did you feel like you continue to just say we're gonna do what we're gonna do because we've been doing what we're gonna do and not
because brother, okay. I'm gonna say this from my personal experience in seeing something that was just a little seed. You thought the Latin Kings had a rapid influx. Man, our thing, when it hit them streets, brother, this shit took over the whole East Coast. We didn't realize we were planning for inside. We never planned for it to get outside and do what it's still doing now. It began to outgrow us. So it outgrew us, bro. We didn't plan for that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I know your stance. I know the how you taught. I know how you ran your hood. I respect you for what you did. For your contributions, your history, and all the information that you actually gave. That was good and that was fruitful in all the nonsense and bullshit we were doing. But let me ask you, when did it change from the fight against oppression to being oppressors? Give us some guidance on that. Give me some guidance on that.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this, right? After Attica, 1990, August of 1998, when I begin to see, because I believe this, as George said, you got to build the mind state before you can build the movement. See, he said, what should come first, theory or practice? He asked Jonathan this. Jonathan, what should come first, theory or practice? Should we in theory or should we just get in action? Jonathan believed action with theory. That's why he went, took the courtroom, and did what he did. Because when you have conditions that you already know the cause of, it calls for reactionary responses. Not to sit and say, hold up, let me see what happened. You see what happened. This racist pig just jumped on the brother. And they continue. Every time a brother come out, he not safe whether he gonna come back. Because what happened with them crackers scene, they was using the Latin Kings as their helpers.
They were. I seen that.
You feel me? So now you got this strong black group. Everywhere they move, you just see a blog of red. They don't get it though yet. Or we all on the pull-up bar. Our unity was so homie. I mean, when we move, and this is what the police is telling me as they're seeing it developed. Then we start roll calling oppression, blood, resistance, blood, war. Then crack, what the fuck?
That's facts.
Homie, listen, we was like 5 of us when we first got to Attica and we popped off the roll call. The whole yard. We was in B block on 23 Company. That yard right there, what's that? D block. See, you heard that, mother? The police came and said, what the fuck? He said, Knight, could you please? Homie, so just listen to words. Resistance, blood, oppression, blood, war, blood, red light, green light, bang, bang, bang. You know what?
Question.
But
I had a question.
But like the real question is like, when do you think the brothers, fighting the fight, right? Because the power came later. Like, who would believe that it would grow to be so big and dudes would have so many loyal dudes under them willing to do whatever? a lot of brothers started flipping on each other, right? It's a lot of flipping going on at one time, one period.
I was gonna get to that point, brother. I was gonna get there.
I want to ask you, while you get into that,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, do you think the power corrupted these brothers that were good and that were loyal brothers, but began to flip on each other and cannibalize each other? Do you think they were corrupted by power?
Yes, I'm gonna be honest with you. And me and Moshe spoke to this. Once Mac was proved to be a victim of the same rules that we lived by, the 30 rules, because that's all you needed. All you needed was your oath and your 30 rules. All the rest of that stuff, that's how your 30 rules was your life, the way you lived every day with this life, and your oath. Or your pledge. It was your pledge. It wasn't an oath. I came home on the short little pledge. That's it. It wasn't no you my little homie. None of that. You was a comrade.
Oh, you
stood beside me.
Up boy, bang boy, I'm Mackey's boy. You wasn't Mackey's boy?
Nah. I was never. You got to remember, homie, I was already established in the state. I was more of a contributor to the movement because I brought a lot of solid brothers home who didn't see the movement. So I'm saying, yeah, I love Mac as a comrade and brother. But I didn't need no little big homies. I ain't know, I'm a grown ass man.
So when the turmoil started, everybody found us out about Mac, and everybody was basically clinging to their power or whatever, right? And you had some, little 90s stuff started happening. I'm going in this corner. I'm going in this corner. What was the thing that brought it back for a second to actually make people come together? Like, all right, we got to get this thing right.
It never came back, brother. Not the way the first generation. Never came back. Because everybody tried. Everybody made an attempt, and I made this. You can ask all the leaders in the new school. You can ask the Larry O's. I didn't get up to the ass. You can ask the Pee Wees. You can ask the Ty Gangs. You can ask
that. What was your
attempt? Listen, the Dick Wolves. You can have all these new movements. Ain't no nation thus to this day on this East Coast have done it like the first generation of Damu.
That's facts.
Now, the other parts of that question, what specifically, did you make any attempt once you seen that happen?
Okay, yes. Well, let me get back to what Mikey was saying. The change came in once the second generation came out, right? Mac appointed me he sent it directly to me to begin to institute this new leadership, where we were no longer captains, lieutenants, which came from the same book when I read it, because I had to get the book to clarify a lot of things, with the CCO that started at the same time the UBN started out west. Yeah. So when we became generals, thanks to Sherm the Worm, when he did the interview on Angie Martinez, 1997, when he came from DFY, a lot of brothers was ignorant to the fact, and they wanted to make him food.
Yeah, he came to Rikers Island with us. They was like, yeah, we getting him as soon as he touched down.
Let me tell you. Though, I'm gonna tell you, I was pivotal. Don Nilo was down there with us. One of the first Valentines, Don Nilo, Charlotte, all that. So I'm writing these brothers. I wrote Mac because when I heard the interview, I was like, I said, man, that was great for us. We being demonized. 1997, we was demonized. Oh, little kids going to school, cutting other little kids. They were demonizing us in the media, brother. But the feds knew because they made the statement, nah, it's about 500 of them. The real Bloods, these guys out here is copycat. The real Bloods is in New York State Penitentiary. So when Sherm did that, I hit Mac and said, Mac, that was great. He got all that information out of Mao Zedong's red book. So we hit Mac. You know what? Okay, we're going to start generals. Second generation generals. And as I told Moshe, he said y'all was arguing the fact that who was the first 5'9" Brims, because that shit is so etched in my mind because I was the one, because I didn't used to carry paperwork at this time. I had it all on brain. So I can write whatever you, and Moshe can attest it. I can
I
write
remember
whatever
when
you need.
I was
From
in Attica, had to come. They were strict on that, bro. When I came out of
yeah.
ain't no
So
paperwork, you had to know it.
yes. So what happened, we had so much for y'all. That's why we put together in the 99 in the council packet everything we believe the individual leading that district would need to run a solid district organization. But what happened is certain individuals didn't want to unleash the power and still try to stand on the platform that Mac left behind. Some individuals jumped ship, went somewhere else, got charters from out west, and other individuals, they didn't want to relinquish the power.
And being at that same time when Mac went home and you guys began the construction process, I saw and I recall this, and you and I we spoke about this earlier. It seems as if the language now changed and it began to take more of a Moorish science temple twist, which was a direct reflection of the Black Keystone Nation in Chicago. And I saw that the principles of love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. Why did you and others feel the need to be able to construct the new UBN? And I'm saying this is after Mac went home in 99. Why did you guys feel the need to construct it? And why did you guys feel, because if you saw that it was veering towards like Los Angeles with the banging on Crip lifestyle, why not create a New York like type of culture? Why look more towards Chicago and the teachings of the Moorish Science Temple, which the Black the Keystone Nation was adhering to, and with all due respect, even the vice laws and some individuals in the People's Nation. Why make an effort to replicate that?
Is because the fact that you got to remember from its inception, it was on the job. The first generation was banging to establish ourselves, to be able to educate the people. That's why I was always in the rule, read your history books, read revolutionary books, so that's all, but we didn't have time to actually display, because every time we try to establish ourselves somewhere to get a stronghold, we was at war, we was being attacked. So what happened was, when T offered me the charter and I denied it, I said, well then brother, help us get it right.
Okay. That
help us educate.
All right.
Help us get it right. If we ain't taking the charter because we got too much history here. Brothers done died. Brothers done. It's too much going. We can't accept the West Coast history because that's just not our history.
That's great to know.
Yes, it's not our history.
So the late T. Rogers had, while you and others denied a charter coming from him to open up a chapter of Black Keystone in New York, he was instrumental and influential in helping to at least implement certain principles that were a part of the Keystone Nation to help guide the direction of the Damus on the East Coast, is what you're saying.
Because the reason, building with me, he realized that I was in tune with the Nation of Islam. I was in tune with the Moorish Science Temple. I was in tune with what Jeff did when he formulated the runks. You feel me? So he was like, yo, this is the movement. You feel me? This is the movement. And me and SI agreed. So SI took care of the packet as far as the jail situation come. I writ the new Constitution. And I formulated it because of the history of the 13 colonies. And at that time we had to disguise it. So I read it as if I was Ben Franklin and John Hancock. You feel me? But using the 13 colonies, how they formulated into 50 states, which was a formulation and a replica of the main 21 that Jeff Fort built. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because I felt we need to go in that direction and get some true organization and true structure. But what happened was, like I said, the individuals that wanted to hold on to this imaginary power, because power only comes to the people through the consciousness of the people, not the self-proclamation. So me and SI said, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. So we gathered all the information. It took about a year. That's why 2000, which was the millennial, we was changing. But in the process of that, you had individuals jumping ship. Oh, it's 13? Okay, listen. This is why I don't know why we didn't speak about this. Is like, because remember, Mac left Is and Shaquell as the acting GS. But the respect was lost when it was a crisis during what was going on in Southport, and they was trying to change the guard. Is never responded. So SI Gore and them took what they took in their own hands to ensure that the rules was followed. Never go against the nation. Whoever went against the nation was treason.
I'm gonna be honest with you. So I feel conflicted with this. On one hand, I feel like you guys did an honorable thing by, you know what, and I'm not saying that the opposite side of that is that was dishonorable. So please, I will never state that. What I'm saying is that I do feel like there was a need to redefine the movement to provide some clarity for individuals who, as the leaders, felt they were obviously misled. So I do understand this is why you guys went from brotherly love, overall oppression, destruction to brothers led out of darkness. You and I spoke about that earlier.
I don't know where that came out. I don't know where brothers got that from. Brothers led out of darkness. That I think that was what Pee Wee created that with the Brim movement.
Y'all had nothing to do with brothers led out of darkness.
No, with the second generation. The second generation. This was coming from Mac, because mind you, Mac was still here. He pushed the Bulls. He pushed family values.
Family values.
He pushed,
no. I'm talking about the construction of the council. Brothers led out of the council.
Listen, no, it was never that. It was, remember, Black Love. This was the second generation. The last, everything else, dudes just remixed and did whatever they did with it. That whole packet came to me from Mac. It was Black Love overrides our depressions. Before it was brotherly love overrides our destruction.
He went home, he changed to Black and
Bro,
Latino.
listen, he didn't change anything.
Yes, he did.
Brother. Okay, well, the thing was Black and Latino love overrides our depression.
Yeah.
That was second generation.
Right.
It never really got to fully develop, because in the process of pushing that would happen, individuals who had influence begin.
Yo, Smitty Brim stupid. Yo, Smitty, you see me up here, Smitty. I'm like this. Another one? Like what?
Yeah. Begin to jump ship. And that's what led to the development of the 13 Stone Hoods and the 13 Brim Hoods. I explained to you.
Not 13 Brim Hoods. No, that's not true. Not 13.
What, 12? I mean, it was to override. Listen.
Nah, I just wanted to correct you. Just for
okay.
We had that. We had the 13, 5, and 3 as far as for the 21 was concerned. BSV was 13. Magoo had 5, and then you had
BSV had 31 hoods at one time.
No.
Nah.
No, it didn't, bro.
Are you serious, bro?
31. Get out of here.
No, they did not.
31. They had more. Listen, they had more. Hold on. They had more than that when they had the corners, and all the corners had hoods.
What I'm talking about,
they had more.
It was 13. So when ABSVN, this is a whole. We'll do this a whole other time. But when ABSVN was formulated, it was only 13, bro. When all the other stuff started,
it was 13.
That wasn't even supposed to be done.
Well, as I got it, this is the point, Moshe, I wanted to make in that. Is who individuals believe who was still the acting GF. So this is why when they was all in upstate, this was going on. So when Is realized that he only held his position in GMB with other individuals, other 13 sets who held their position outright in their own sets, because the thing was to collectively come together in leadership and make decisions of progress as we move forward, instead of having one man make a call, you feel me, in the whole nation. We already experienced what happened with Mac. So we said no one man would ever be in power like that again to mislead us. So first we're going to educate ourselves, then we're going to put together a package to educate everyone with a format to follow, so we can have some organization along with the education to move progressively forward. That was what the council packet was all about.
Yeah, yeah, and I recognize that. I mean, we recognize that. It's just that we now know that there was some who just disagreed with. And do you think that those who disagreed with it were wrong for feeling as if they didn't want to adhere to the council's way of doing things? And
of course, no.
Hold on, big bro. And I'm not saying this to create more strife, but I'm just simply asking like a general question, because some of our comrades, our brothers, people who we love, felt like Pee Wee, like
no,
Todd,
yes.
people said, look, we don't agree with this, and they felt like they wanted to stay in their entrenched corner and build their own movement. So, what was it? Anything wrong with that? Or because
yes, it was. The thing was wrong. Remember, what makes you blood is not your set. We was blood before sets. What makes you blood was your 30 and your pledge. You feel me? Sets came later. The movement was before that. So when we seen that, we said, what are we gonna steal? It ain't nothing to bang on. Yeah, that's why individual.
But as leaders, big bro, as leaders, you guys were the leaders. You guys were the ones who were responsible to ensure that you guys told us to study what took place in Chicago with the black disciples, with the gangster disciples, with the black peace stones, with the kings, with the lords. You guys taught us everything we needed to study about gang subculture, about how gangs break off and how splinter groups create and how this metastasizes and creates more conflict and more. So you guys knew the potential of creating this would ultimately create a situation in which groups would branch off, right? So my question is, why didn't you guys devise a system or construct something that would prevent something of this magnitude taking place? Because from the stones, we now have the apes. From this, we now have the Macs and the hounds. And so I'm saying that do you guys feel that you created, by reconstructing, you guys inadvertently created a culture that helped perpetuate the same thing you were trying to basically stop, which is a perpetuation of this ignorance?
And I'm gonna say this, right? I agree to a point. I agree, but you got when you think about progressive thinking, right. I think it was more when you think about, yes, you had individuals who wanted to just keep it as is because you know why? And these are the arguments that I had with the leaderships. It's easier to control ignorance than to motivate consciousness. Mm-hmm. Ignorance and consciousness is nemesis. So as we start moving forward, remember all the books we're reading, all the things, the information, it was only right. Now, whether some leadership chose for their own purposes to choose to stay in that state because of they didn't want to educate them, that was on them. So what we did do, we gave everybody the opportunity. We sent everybody directly certified mail return receipt, the packet, before we said institute. So whoever had an issue was supposed to respond, and then we could have dealt with that. So we could have curtailed and altered anything to fit the individual in or change what they didn't like, you feel me, or anything. But we did state, if you do not respond within 30 days, we're going to move forward and you default from any. So now they open upstate. Look, they open upstate. And as I said, who's not here, but that's my brother. So I'm not going to misrepresent him, but I'm going to give the facts. He was in upstate along with the Macos, the Wees, the Tie Guns. And I'm going to honestly say this. You might have brothers that disagree, but this is the facts. There's always been a difference, but what brought us together with Bronx and Brooklyn homies. HBO, BQE. But the rules kept us from transgressing against each other. That's why GKB and Nine Trey always been going at it. Who put the most work in? Who got the most? So you feel me? There was always a competitiveness, some transgressions, but first one transgressed you was food, and we met that. So that's what kept that rivalry fair. So it's felt because Mac did leave the letter, which I got to say him and Quell were the acting GS. But in the time of turmoil and the time of controversy, neither stood up. So individuals said, yo, me and SI said, yo, we had heard into not the individual. We hear the nation build. That's how I came in. I didn't come in because CK's my little homie, Quell. I didn't care about nothing. I came in the nation build. That's why I didn't leave when those individuals left. I stood here with y'all because I felt there was an obligation to y'all. So when me and Sai came together and we said, yo, this is what we're going to do. T, all of this is happening. But we got to clean shit. We got to clean shit. Because if Matt go, this SI's words, may he rest in peace. He said, if Matt going, all these niggas that got homos on their shit, rats on it, they going. He was upset. So it took us a whole year. So those individuals who didn't respond so that can give us input of a direction, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to use that, our weakness, as an opportunity to jump shit and do what they wanted to do. In all honesty. Because they got the memo. I don't want to say no who didn't respond, but they didn't. And then out of that came, because it said, okay, it was 13. Well, you start this, you start that. These were the first sets of NYB and formulated the Brimstone Alliance in upstate. We never had that in the history of UPN with sets. Dudes left, but they never took sets with them. That's a violation of the 30 rules. Never in the history. Dudes left, they never took no set with them. So it's not like...
Hold on, big bro. Y'all tune in to We Locked In. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, KK and Mikey B. We're here with the esteemed Elder Soul B, the real big homie of all the real big homies. And we are here going over, Damu history in New York and also gang culture and gang history as well. This is a very serious conversation. I know it's very, testy. I see a lot of the comments in the chat. I will say
they're going to war in the chat.
We don't want to be, we're not up here to create a climate of disrespect.
Yes.
Right. So if you're in the chat and that's what your purpose is for, then you need to check yourself. I'm just keeping it all the way 100 because we're here to learn something. I mean, what happened 20 years, we can't change. What happened 15, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. We're here to get a history lesson from somebody who's here so that moving forward, we can perhaps benefit from some of the poor decisions that we've made in the past. So none of us are perfect in here. We're here as a learning lesson. If you just please hit the like button, share, put your comments in the chat, but please be respectful, man. For my man, Mikey B, clip you out the chat. Go ahead.
I heard a brother, I'm gonna say that is correct. Ty Guns, when he went to the feds, he did formulate that. But we talk, this is Kirker before Ty went to the
This
feds
is
and
before.
formulate
Yes, this is
that
before.
relationship.
Thank you. I'm
Yes.
glad you mentioned
All
that.
of this is before. And I'm just being, this is something that I've never, but I talked to, Moshe, I talked to Mikey, and they said this conversation didn't need to be had. I could have, but and it still gets deeper. But I'm just trying to give you clarity of why things happen the way it did. This is what happens with families, it happens with nations, it happens. So I'm just here to give clarity. I'm not accusing anybody. I take full responsibility directly and indirectly for anything. I'm just saying I just happen to be in the development, and that's all I can give you firsthand.
I know KK wanted to say something, but
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
We was talking in the last
Okay,
2 episodes, and it came up, when the Stones and Brims pulled out of the council. What was your stance on that?
My stance was, as I told you, a lot of individuals, because of the rules. Now, this is the dudes fought me at. I'm just telling you, this is something I have to live with. I didn't want us to turn into like brothers, Crip brothers on the West Coast, where we start fighting against each other, although it is what it is today, the set tripping. So when I heard that, I embraced the brothers, the Wees, Guns, and anything that they bred. I embraced it, although Goo, Frank, with certain individuals who they didn't. It was a war up in upstate. I don't know why dudes didn't feel that, because individuals left, but they never took sets with them. The sets belong to the nation, not the individual. But at that time,
but they took their sets with them.
I said that, brother.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Yeah, I said never in the history, but at that point, 02, like 02, 01, 02, so somewhere around in that point it happened. 01, okay. And what happened, because they galvanized, and I told Moshe this, the reason those sets grew so fast because of the first, when Mac happened, you had a lot of brothers who got ousted with the black militia thing. They couldn't come back because the rule said once you go against the nation, you can't come back. Let's not forget our rules. That was our life. Yeah. So you had them brothers waiting in the outskirt, being abandoned. So when them other Stones and Brim sets up, they just went up like fire.
So did you hear anything about the Vanguard?
Yes, I heard about the Vanguard. Yes.
So what was up with the Vanguard?
The Vanguard, I forgot who, but they wanted me on board with just like the DNA, all of these things. And I told these brothers, I said, brother, only thing I'm doing is UBN. That's all I know is UBN. I'm not doing and putting my stamp on nothing else, because only thing that I know that worked within that first 7 years, 5 of the first generation and 2 of the second, was UBN. And you can attest to that today, although they're rapidly self-destructing because of whatever's happening. I applaud, salute to you, and salute to every other nation. But just look at what's happening from inside and out. I don't care what one. Dudes even got 100 years or, rapidly 100-man indictments, filling new prisons up.
And that's the biggest issue.
Yeah, but
you feel me?
I think this is, and I'm speaking just objectively, right? I think that it's all rooted, and it all comes from the same root.
I blurred my background.
It all comes from the same root, because we did not foresee any of these problems taking place. Now we live in a world where in our communities we have younger individuals. Now it looks like New York is replicating what was at one time the culture in West Coast, and which is the culture in Chicago, where now these cities are intergeneration. They have intergenerational gang subcultures that permeate their environments. Where this was only a new, this was only a New York thing. This was only a prison thing in New York. Where now in the streets now, you see the youth that are 14, 12, 13, they talk about they folks, they bloods, they Crips, they going to junior high school. They're going to high school talking about now that they're bloods. Youth in my program they can't come to my programs where we can work with them to help them get employment because they're saying that neighborhood is a folk neighborhood. Or if I go to Ebbetsfield, that is a folk neighborhood. If I go to that community over here, that's Cho, that's Woo. It's at that point, right? And all of this, not all of it like with the folks and stuff like that, but a lot of the what we see is a direct result of the decisions that were made 15, 20, 25 years ago that they had no knowledge of.
Yes.
So we're definitely like responsible for helping to create this because we didn't foresee that it would get to this point.
Of course, that's why when I came on, I apologized directly or indirectly because yes, I am held, although we didn't foresee it. But now that's why I don't say I'm an ex-blood. You see, when I go on my platforms, I'm a reformed. I'm reformed. You see, when I went on Good Morning New York, I was reformed, businessman, author. I'm still so be husband, grandfather, father, serial entrepreneur. This is the example I'm giving you now on the outskirts. So when I walk into these communities, whether it's folk, my little homies in Ebbetsfield, whether it's Crip, my little homies, all of them see me as a representation of the culture. I'm tangible. I'm working down in North Carolina with my organization called Be Mad, Black Men Making a Difference.
That's right.
Black men what?
Making a difference.
Black men making a difference.
And
Be Mad.
What does your organization do specifically?
Be Mad. Okay, specifically Be Mad. We bring to the community gang awareness, gang intervention, gang prevention, and bully proof. Bully proof in schools and communities. Technically, bully proof in our bully proof program is specifically for schools, middle schools, high schools, and public schools.
Copy. And
you feel me?
And how what has been your what has been like the response from the community?
Okay, well, like I said, because you had all these other organizations like GMAC who never gave me the opportunity, Man Up, a lot of these, now I don't know for their own personal reasons, because I would have been real pivotal in setting solutions because I helped create, not the chaos, but I have to take the responsibility because I was promoting it. You feel me? Solutions into galvanizing methods of effectiveness to prevent, but mainly educate, because I still believe it's the mind state. Once you know, you know what I'm saying? Once you know, you'll do better. You'll make better decisions. So I feel as a representative of the culture that New York reestablished itself through the brothers who was behind the wall.
I love that.
It's our obligated duties. That's why I applaud you guys.
Yeah.
I applaud you guys. And I told you when I seen y'all, brothers start getting into the nonsense, I told KK, that's family. I said, brother, pull back. Don't destroy that like that. These brothers need y'all. Yeah. That's why I came on your platform. Came on no other platform outside of the interview that I did, because there was this is the time for this. This discussion with us and the brothers to bridge the gap and live out Jim Brown's legacy, who assisted a lot of those brothers out there with a man I can.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. I saw somebody put in the chat, when are we going to start asking questions?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say too.
We are going to start asking questions shortly. I just wanted to, Soul B to answer that question. So, Mikey, let's get to that. Let's get to that. I sound like Zip with that, right? Let's get to that, right? I didn't see any. I got. Shout to Zip, sit with the drip. But no, I didn't. You said what?
Here we go. I'm about to all these questions I'm putting up is the older questions that everybody had put up. So if y'all put new questions in the chat, I'm going through the first questions first. We got about 25 of them. Go ahead.
Ooh, so the first one, big bro, is this is from Fresh to Billy. He says, How can y'all as elders get the younger generation to follow the path y'all are on today?
Okay, by consistency of doing what we're doing, having these forums, you feel me, and being tangible, allowing these dudes, because you have to have authenticity. You can't have a wannabe brother who you got to have authenticity. And our example right now, when these young brothers look at, they say, "Oh man," and I tell you, I get it all the time. I see these young brothers, they be like, "Yo, G, I listen to you." Now, whether it got to them at that point, but they listening. And we just have to be more consistent and sincere. If you don't care, then don't swear. You feel me?
Let's go. What's your
You
next?
gotta be in it to win it.
Next one is
So what about the guard bodies that was robbing and cutting Latinos on Rikers and up north? That's why King Blood started the nation. And that's,
Okay. Well, those brothers, and I respect those Latin brothers for formulating for that cause at that given time. There's no pun intended to them formulating. I was just bringing clarity to bridge the gap of what was going on with those brothers who I know personally. I was in the state, and the new influx of brothers that felt a whole different way. So that was only why I was being. Those brothers are held responsible, and if they did what they had to do under the circumstances, I salute them.
facts. if they was being oppressed, they had every right to fight back against it.
Yes.
Damn right they did.
Look at one from Smitty Brim.
Smitty Brim said, "What happened in Attica in '98? Why did he fix the police?"
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it was a brother. He died, and it was just conditions at that time where we got tired of banging on these brothers. So I made the call and said, "Yo, we ain't banging on no Latin Kings no more, no Nietas. That's corny. These police is violating us every time we go to the yard." So
That
Papa
was my
Doc,
first experience as a young blood coming up north. That's why I landed that.
yeah.
Yo, let him finish,
So
bro.
they raping us, putting their hands up our ass, grabbing, just totally disrespecting us. So I begin to build the mindset as George did when he was in those solitary confinement positions in San Quentin. And the first time we was going for it, then brothers start breathing their mind, that blood in my eyes, they start getting that fire in them, and we all made a commitment wholeheartedly. Next time they put a hand on another blood, in any way, we out of here.
Facts.
And I would relive that situation again because I never felt in my life Attica crackers to be so scared. Mind you, 21 crackers got assaulted that day.
And for the record, they gave you 14 years in the box after that, right?
No, they gave me 21 years. Each police got assaulted. They gave me a year for each police that was assaulted. They modified it. They took 5, 6 off, and I had 15.
Damn.
That's why I love Moshe, because Moshe and the brothers, Kev, Frost, all those brothers in that movement, that was to spark you new dudes in the millennium to what was taught to them. Moshe directly involved, did that in Elburn. And that's what kept me on board. That's what kept, because I said, oh man, beautiful. It's still, brother's still pushing that cause. To this day, I ran into him in the community, doing community work. Follow him. Leader of the new school. Kev, KK, Mikey, y'all too. Y'all leaders of the new school. These brothers, I'm an elder to y'all. These brothers, y'all are elders to these. And what I told you, Moshe, I said, yo, your job is going to be harder than mine. Y'all, look at where y'all at. Y'all products of me. Look where y'all at now.
Yeah.
So that's how that's going to happen, brother.
And I know they got more questions, and we're gonna thank you at the end because you've done so much for my development, man. I know Mikey King. What's so messed up is we all caught up in colorism. I know that's probably a statement versus a question.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right.
You're
You're right, George Jackson. And great name, by the way. So New York City Latin Kings didn't form because Latinos was oppressed in '86 by black renegades, 5%. I
That's
think
a
so.
statement.
I think so.
Yes, yes, they did. They did formulate with King Blood, who we found out did have a little. He didn't really have a charter, but when Blaze came, he had a charter from Connecticut, which was a direct charter. If you read the Latin King, Connecticut Latin Kings, the whole charter is in there. Those brothers had a charter directly from Chicago. King Blood didn't, so he technically did what OG Mac did. It's in the paperwork. Read the case. Connecticut Land Kings.
Yeah, I remember Esther had put me on that case too, and I ended up meeting. It was a LK from Chicago. He had worked with a cane, with a limp, fat dude that came to the state. Was kind of correcting all of them. Every last okay he ran across, he was corrected.
So the next question is, so when did you meet OG Mac?
Well, technically, I never met OG Mac personally. Our development happened when I was in Attica, and he heard he heard about the blockbuster in Sing Sing, which I was at the forefront. He heard about that, and through Shaquell, we began to correspond, and I began to share with him a lot of my ideals of building this nation, and we became through mindset. He expected my opinions. He expected in whatever I asked him to institute, he gave me full-fledged go ahead to do so. That's how I got my OG status and got taken off GKB as his first 5-star and got my OG status on Mad Dog in '98, the second generation, along with a lot of other brothers who served honorably in the first generation.
And Smitty asks, "What's up with Rudy Red?" Well,
man, that's my brother. That's my brother. He's been etched out of history, but I talk to Rudy every day. I was asking him to come up. He said, "Nah, bro, that's for you. Because Rudy was my little homie prior to this blood thing. So he has a high degree of respect for me. I love him. It's just that his health is not going to allow him to get on these platforms. And so when I was telling you about the Bronx Bomber thing and him, OG Mac, Polo, Feli, and Drew, who was technically Bronx Bombers and became the first actual Bloods from OG Mac. Salute to Rudy, his family and his health,
Rudy,
man. That's my brother.
I ain't see Rudy in like 26 years, man. That's
yeah,
my guy.
man. I talk to him every day. Every day I talk to him. I'm going to talk to him after this. Because he was in my ass. How you going to forget about me? You're right, Rudy.
How do you feel about the Bloods today? That's the question.
Oh, man, okay. I love these guys. The reason I love them because it's like my grandchildren, my babies. I love this nation. I love the potential. Although I disagree that we are still doing the same things after 30 years and we do not have nothing. We didn't build new police units. Everybody's getting paid off for us, brother. 30 years. They got a police can come into the gang unit and become supreme captain.
Commissioner, deputy commissioner.
Because of this gang thing we created, Rikers Island in or out, and we don't have nothing to show for the brothers who sacrificed their lives and the brothers who are still going to sacrifice their lives, believing in this culture or being a part of this culture and believing in that way. So I love them all. I love the culture, brother. It's just that we got to stop being victimized by becoming conscious. Can't claim victim no more, brother. The information is here right now. We locked in.
Copy. What is this question that Move Millie's asking? Ask him his opinion. When was the first generation? I don't know. That's an easy question, but when was the first? Yeah. When was the first generation?
93 to 98. 5 years. We go 5 years. 93, 98. That was 98. Started the second generation. Then 5 years. Count. Then 5 years. We like into the 6th, 7th generation now.
Yeah, so I guess what So Be is saying is that from 93 to 98 was the first generation. From
Yes.
90 to 2003 was the second generation. From 2003 to 2008 was the third generation. From 2008 to 2013. From 2013 to 2018. 2018 to 2023. Like that. So we like in the sixth generation right now.
Yes. 31 years.
G said, "Who started the color banging and what was the reason?" Now I'm thinking that he's saying who started the color banging between Bloods and Crips over here.
Well,
So
I can't, because like I said, I was locked down at that time, but it was impossible. That was somebody just copycatting, probably watched the video, seeing how Brothers Out West did it, because T made a comment in one of the Feds magazine where he got the stones on the front. And a lot of dudes, because I big T up, I got him to a lot of symposiums, John Jay, and individuals felt disrespected because T said, we don't need nobody copycat. But what he was saying from a conscious perspective, LA is sectional. Just imagine what's going on in LA in New York City, the largest city in the world. Drive-bys. So it's right. We didn't come in here blooding and cripping. You feel me? So why brothers chose to adapt that? I seen that after the millennium. I don't know who's responsible for it, but I tell my little kid homies.
To give clarity on that question, though, it was color banging from the start because Latin Kings had yellow flags and we had red, and Netas had like white. So there was color banging from the beginning. It was a fight.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't color banging. That just was their colors. We didn't say. Listen, we didn't say. Listen, we didn't say. Okay, that was their colors, but that wasn't our position. Was that we were being oppressed. And these brothers just so happened to be Latin. If they were Aryans, it wouldn't be. So what color they wore didn't have no.
I know, but we picked the color. We picked the color up though.
But I think RG is asking a question, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that question specifically is about red and blue. And maybe
you got more colors on that coming up. But I'm thinking, I'm just to clarify that from the beginning was about colors because they came in a color.
Brother, it was never about Mikey. No, it was never about colors.
I'm not saying it wasn't about a color, but they represented the color, and we did too.
But that wasn't why we started banging.
No,
we ain't never banging,
but we came in a color.
We understand. We represent many colors. Like in Chicago, they wear all kinds of colors, but it's the left and the right thing for them.
Yeah, but we not talking about Crips that wear.
You got some Crips that don't wear blue.
Yes, they wear green, they wear purple, they wear green, they wear black. So in educating ourselves in the culture, that's why I always tell them, we never banged on Crip. Big Stag, may he rest in peace. He was the founder of 8 Trade Crips, South Central, Monster Cody, big homie. He came home, he did 20 years in New York State, came home, passed away. But Stag was riding with us.
But you know what, though, So Be? I understand. I agree. I agree with you to a certain extent. But what we're looking at is historically, we are still banging colors that have been banging for 1,000 years. These same colors.
I understand what you're saying, Mikey.
Hold on. These same colors that we are representing in these communities today, they've been going to religious wars. They've been the same stars.
That's a whole nother story.
These are the facts, though. These are the historical facts of us representing colors and stars that have been and symbols that have been for thousands of years. They've been banging.
Yes, I agree, but that's another conversation. Signs and symbols of primordial man.
But that's just the facts. That's the
facts. But I'm saying, as far as the culture is concerned in New York, we didn't start off color banging like out west, which they didn't start off like that, red and blue. They didn't start off like that. When we read, remember they put out the book called The Uprising, which was floating around. They didn't start off.
Yeah, that was in the aftermath of the Rodney King riots and stuff like that. When they
yes, and brothers, but the foundational brothers, many of them in the book, you feel me, said they had the brims, the rabbit foot, the right pant leg up with General Lee and all them. So they didn't start. Red and blue came later on. Swan devotion, you feel me? All that came later on.
Okay.
It's just like with us, it came later on. The brother asked the questions when did that came in the millennium. Dudes then, although we've all read, that wasn't the fact because if he had blue or black and yellow, you was our our enemies because you came and tried to take my life or assault me.
Yeah.
I think all right, Paul, man. I know we still asking questions. So what's the next question, Mike?
The rat was Mikey was the rat hunters, the ops too. The rat hunters, they got into skirmishes with us, they got into skirmishes with other peoples, but it was never a nation thing against the rat hunters. It was never, every rat hunter we see, we're just going at them. No, but was there skirmishes with the rat hunters? Yeah, but they was their own entity. They was on their own time.
Yes, they were their own. I know the founders, T45, Brooklyn homie, salute, may he rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? Blackie, all them brothers. No, many of them, because those guys grew up in our communities. So many of them had issues with the Latin Kings too. Because you got black.
And rat hunters wasn't only Spanish. Rat hunters was black.
Yes,
too.
right.
Black.
That's
you
right.
Black rat
So,
hunters too. You ain't have to
yeah,
be
that excluded them.
You had white rat hunters, you had Spanish rat hunters, and you had black. It was predominantly Spanish, but you could be anything and be a rat hunter.
Facts.
Any more
questions?
To the rat
hunters. Yeah, I got some more right now. Going through them.
So what's your take on bringing Spanish brothers into blood, especially when you came home due to oppression?
I'm going to say this. I brought several Spanish. I brought the first white boy home. Jay Black, salute, E&Y. You know what I'm saying?
My God, Jay Black.
You already, you feel me? And dudes, later on, it's so crazy. He ripped me crying, bro, because he came back on some, and these dudes playing games and try to use the color against him. I think there was never a thing of Spanish brothers not becoming blood because that was Mac's overall position as we begin to grow. That's how Magoo got there. That's how Benji got there. That's how Mad Dog got there. That's how Little Dominican got there. And they came from rival. They came from Latin Kings and the Yantas and joined us and became some brothers of solidarity in the movement. So that was never an issue, brother.
Okay. All right. Also, how do you feel about Bloods letting Latin Kings and Yanta turn blood, but made it a big for Crip to turn blood? Okay, that's a good question. All right, so how do you feel about Bloods letting Kings and Yantas turn blood, but made it a big issue for Crip to turn blood?
Because of the ignorance after the millennium and brothers not seeing a brother, because it happens out west. Look at Game. He comes from a Crip neighborhood. He was able to go with his brother.
Well, his parents
to a blood neighborhood. His parents was Crips.
Yeah, his parents.
He come from a Crip foundation, and he was embraced by blood. So I think it's more of an ignorant thing because those brothers have more of a blood. People died in those beefs out west generationally. We ain't talking about somebody getting cut. We talking about somebody actually getting murdered. Families separated from neighborhoods. So it's a little different on that side, but brothers were still able to cross over.
Okay. What's the next question, Mike? Is Mikey BM O'Shea, is there anyone out there who can speak on OG Mac before blood? Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people who can speak on
Mac. Yes. I'm gonna tell you, I talk to Rudy all the time. Rudy watched him grow up. They grew up together in 183rd, Davidson, Morris, all around there. And as I get, the changing of God. Let me just stick out as I get, because I talked to Tom Cross also, who's a comrade of mine, free Tom Cross. You know what I'm saying? He watched Mac and his brother Ty grow up. He watched them grow up, same building. And, like Rudy just told me, Mac used to drive his brother Ty, who he tried to immortalize. OG Ty, shoot out to Ty. Ty was a money getting dude, and he Mac was like any other normal kid growing up in the Bronx. He traveled, he got money because his brother was getting a lot of dope money. You know what I mean? And he was regular. Now, what made him do that to the brother Don Q? But he definitely had a strategic. And me and Don spoke about this. We have to give him his props. The reason why he strategically knew what he was up against, and he created a monster to this day. because he believed he needed the power to go against another power that's still standing now. Despite whether he had any permission, he was articulable enough. The timing was right, everything. But you know what he did? He gave us black love, man. There's never been a strong black movement since the Panthers, bro. Just look historically. Name one.
Gutter Loke is. No, I don't think
right, that question came back up. So I'm gonna address it because a lot of at that time with the Blood and Crip stuff, it really started with adolescence, though, right? When we was getting out.
In the streets, it came in the pen. It started.
Yeah, it was in '96 though. We were on Rikers Island. You had a couple young Crips there, and basically, because I was one adolescent that was down there, we started beefing with them. It was really one main one. Wasn't even a bunch of them. It was like one young Crip down there that was getting into it with the homies, and that kind of like escalated. I mean, it wasn't necessarily all-out war declared at that time, but it was just like adolescents bugging, and then it just escalated because it wasn't even a lot of them around.
It wasn't a lot of them around.
Yeah, I was there in the 4 building back in the days, and there were Crips there. I can name at least 10 Crips that were in the building, living in blood houses. And the reality was that
I can't name 10 adults. You gotta keep going.
No. There were I don't know 10 in adults, but I'm talking about the 4 building. But that didn't happen until like a little later. But I don't
millennium. I say.
Yeah. What I do recognize is that I think that it. What I do know is that it didn't come from the adults until later. So what I think is that the younger homies actually influenced the older homies when it came to this thing here.
Yeah.
It wasn't the older homies who influenced the younger ones. The younger ones started beefing with the Crips, and then that ended up going to the streets.
They bring that whole thing to prison.
It was a issue happening in Green a lot, because in Green there were a lot of Crips that was there, and that was something that ultimately traveled to the streets, and then that became this big issue. And the next thing you know, man, it got out of control. That's my theory. Now I could be wrong.
And that's when T made the statement. Brothers start copycatting.
Yeah,
that was after the millennium.
You gotta remember at first they was in the roll call. At first, we was dissing them in the roll calls on Rikers Island.
How?
Nah, we never. How? We was dissing the Red Dots and Puñetas and Latin Kings.
And 9-6 was upstate already. I was on Rikers Island. When you went upstate, we was on Rikers Island. We had it.
Okay. But my point is,
I'm saying
that was in the roll call.
They was dissing. They was dissing.
Casket drop.
But the Crips had nothing to do with the 6.
Okay, but Crips had nothing. The point I'm making, when the original was not with.
Yo, hear me out, Sobe. Hear me out.
Yeah.
It was taken out of the roll call. I think Mr. 400 was one of the people. Man, do all of us.
400. Salute to 400.
Yeah, you already know Mr. 400. But man, doing all of us down there, we took it out of the roll call, but it really wasn't. It wasn't no Crips. When I got out to Bing in 1998, it was like 2 Crips in the house. We wasn't even thinking about them. We ended up getting into the war with the Latin Kings that was on the set, and we were still going.
Those are your nemesis.
We wasn't even thinking. It was like 2 of them from Far Rockaway in the house. That's the only ones I've seen in the whole, like all the jails I've been in.
Because they was building in the street. That's why they're so organized in the street now.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned one of the young Crip kids.
They bring it from the streets to prison, and I think what they don't understand is dudes just protecting their positions, because they was with us in Auburn in 2001. There was a bunch of them there, and they was good until they violated one of the homies, and then it was a big war.
Okay, let me share something with you.
I always felt like individuals were misled about the Crips. I think that it was a way, again, it goes back to what I said to Soul B earlier, that New York just was caught up in this identity crisis. New York did. First of all, New York gang culture, especially the blood culture, never had an identity. And I think that we were looking any and elsewhere to try to figure out who we were. And because of that not being fully established by our elders, in this case, Matt, individuals started looking at LA. And then individuals started trying to incorporate stuff into the culture that didn't make sense, like the Crips riding the 6. That didn't make sense because we don't know
Crips don't ride 6.
That's a folk nation thing. So that was something that individuals tried to incorporate into the culture.
That's why
New York started. Wow,
that's why now.
Yeah, listen. New York, we just started remixing and freestyling, taking stuff from Africa.
New York remixed, reinvented the remix.
we was taking stuff from
Yeah,
Los
but let me
Angeles,
show you something.
Chicago.
That's
It
why
just got
now the folks
Remixed
are
all the gangs,
beefing.
you heard? Dudes remixed all the gangs in New York.
Yeah, the
and we
folks are
like, come
beefing.
on, man.
That's why now folks are beefing with anybody because the guy I met him, he was in Southport named C, Haitian guy. He formulated Rolling 20s. He came from the Rolling 90s, which became GS 9s. You know, these are my neighborhoods. So C told me he formulated an 8 ball. But what happened, a real charter came down from Chicago, Ebbets Field. I'm near almost, when I'm in New York, I'm there probably every day. You know what I'm saying? My little homie, he one of the big folks, broke that 8 ball. Never existed. 8 ball never made up shit. So now folks are in their true charters and they beefing with Crips now. Seriously. They beefing with homies now. Seriously.
Mikey, we got any more questions in the chat?
There was one question I seen that I hit
Go ahead, bro, because I missed something.
that didn't put up, and it was pertaining to what could be done now.
What it could be done now, like I said, what I'm doing is what we're doing now. This is one of the first symposiums I've been on where I discuss because I trust the interests of these brothers here on WeLockedN. That's why I'm here. You feel me? That's why I'm here. My younger brothers call me. I direct input or mentor them. Then I love what they're doing. I love the platform. And they asked me to come up here to clarify a lot of things. I mean, you know, in time, it takes time, but hopefully I gave, you know, at least some clarity of things, you know what I'm saying, that individuals didn't know and things that you probably know, but to give you the inside perspective of we were on the job learning.
Copy. We were as we say, we were building the plane while flying it at the same time.
Yes.
Yo, so,
all right. Something that you clarify for us behind the scene before we close out. You clarify this for us behind the scene, just for me being me.
Yes.
We talked about Brim history up here with Pee Wee and Ashan.
Yes.
So what do you have as the original Brim history?
The original coming from Mac, and I told Moshe this. I said, Mikey was incorrect.
Moshe
That Brims never had an OG. Mac said, because we spoke about that, how a mentor never had a godfather. They only had 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if Pee Wee was a little wrong when he said he was 3, this how it went. Lacey, Dada, Dubar, Geronimo, Pee Wee. That was what Mac put there.
Right,
now, whoever switched it up and it down, I don't know.
Check it out. But from what I'm hearing and understanding is that the Brims even started in Caxsaki. It started in Elmira and came to Caxsaki.
And because what happened when Mac got to Caxsaki, he originally gave Brims to Rollo Brim from Harlem.
He's the original. He's the first.
He's the original. Yes, he's the first Brim. Matt gave it to him. But what happened, and I spoke to Rollo. Rollo felt that he got written out, but Rollo wasn't. He was an introvert. See, in order to be ahead of a set, you got to be an extrovert. You got to have charisma. Something Pee Wee had. Something Two-Face didn't have, but he had the militancy which made them a combined team. But that's what people see. Oh, I love the militancy from the, but I like that flamboyant Harlem shit. You feel me? So that's what Rollo didn't have. So although he was the first, he got faded out because he wasn't active. He didn't demand his presence. He just sat back in the cut, and then after it grew, he tried to come in later. And he was on the back burner. Although those who know that WeLockedN was the first Brim. Him and Mac grew up together.
Okay.
Facts.
All right. Well, listen, man. Y'all
right
hearing
on,
this?
man.
Y'all hearing this from the elder Soul B, the real big homie of
the
all
real
the real
big
homie. Right. So, I mean, listen. You got any parting words you want to leave the listeners out here, Soul B, man? I mean, I know you got so much you want to speak about, man. But what do you want to leave us with, man?
I want to leave you with this, brother, that, in order for us to begin to make this difference, each one teach one to reach one, but not only that, hold yourself accountable for your actions, your deeds. Because when you're going to be weighed on that scale of justice, you want to come out real and right. Nobody else. You individually, we all individually have to hold ourselves accountable, because you know why? We owe this to our predecessors. We owe this to our ancestors. The Malcolms, the Martins, the Mega. We owe this. They stood upon those who came before them. So as long as you have a platform, you have a voice, be real and right. Fight against the oppression from this standpoint. And just be consistent and persistent at it. And on that note, I'm going to say, like a million men marching, brother. East side till we die, you feel me?
Yo, man, we love you, big bro, man. Listen, we're gonna let the big bro go. We're gonna spend some time reflecting on this episode, but we love you, man. And before
I'm here anytime you need me, man.
Free Rod Diggs, man.
Straight the free Rod Diggs, free Live Brand, free Larry Yo, free Ed Frank White, free Magoo, free all the homies, man.
Yeah.
All the homies who sacrificed their lives for this lifestyle and this subculture. Free Shotty, free Mel Murder, free all the homies, man. Like I said, Matrix, love you guys, man. And like I said, man, we got a mission behind them, but like a million men marching, we gonna get it done. These are the first steps.
That's right.
And that's all that nonsense. These are the conversations that anytime you need me, I'm here. When it's this type of environment
listen, and the goal for us, it's like we be talking, it'd be so much other stuff going on behind the scenes, bro. Like we're really trying to bring the people together, bro. Working on bringing people together and combating all this nonsense. And this is coming from on a global scale. I mean, but like you said,
free Big Riz. Salute, yes.
First step.
Free my boy.
Yo, free Ferg, man. Hi, big bro, man. We love you, man. Yo, we love you, big bro, man. Thank you for locked in, man. We love you.
Yeah, Flatline. It's for my homies.
Yo, love you, big bro. Yo, that was some powerful stuff from the elder, dog.
Yo.
Yeah, it was.
Yo, he always, he never fails. He gives it up, man.
Shout out to Soul B, man.
Word, yeah, man.
So what y'all think about that, man? What you think? Let's kind of, before we close out, let's dissect some of the stuff the elder spoke about, man, because he raised some valid points. He raised some things we could question them on, like it was some things like, we love Big Bro, but at the same time we got to ask those tough questions, like, if y'all knew Mac was wrong, then why would y'all keep the name Blood? Why not switch another name and stuff like that? Because so these are good questions to ask our elders.
Because I had a thing even with that, because I had got word when that meeting happened with T Rogers, and I was that was one of the things that kind of when I came up like that. Why wouldn't y'all respect that? I want y'all respect it. We found out when we started representing something, we found out some stuff was wrong, and why wouldn't we ride with the elder? But I do understand the perspective though, because just like New York, man, we come in, we put in work, we say we put this work in, we valid, but it's still honor, paying respect to those before us, those that actually paved the way, especially when you representing a culture and a name that go deeper than what we experience.
I have a lot of mixed feelings, and I know Mikey's probably going to close us out, but I got a lot of mixed feelings. On one hand, look at the relationships that we were able to develop. Like I met Mikey B. I met you. Right. We met each other. We met all of the brothers that were just mentioned, the Magoos, the La Brims, the Larios, and we all know the Pee-wees, and we all met each other because of something that was created, and we became brothers. And we, it was in a messed up environment. It was in prison. But we had an opportunity to know each other, You know what I'm saying? We shared our intimate secrets and so on and so forth with one another, and we, you know, introduce one another to each other's families, and we have really deep, intimate relationships. And you know, the reality is that the culture brought us together by law's permission, right?
Right.
And then there's the ugly side of that too. That by being together, we also despised each other too. We started plotting on each other. We started, you know what I'm saying, wishing each other harm. And you know, we know we didn't speak on a lot of stuff, but the reality was that the culture also divided our community up. And now we're seeing a lot of, you know, harm being impacting our communities. But you know, on a good note, what we want to do is we want to try to heal from some of those things that happened in the past, and try to build a bridge between us, our communities, and even individuals across the country. That's the goal, to try to help individuals, man, understand that it's bigger than us tearing each other down, but it's better when we can build each other up. But that's how I feel about that. What you got to say, Mike?
Man, yo, listen, we going on 3 hours of fire right here. You heard?
Straight up.
A lot of people don't even get this information that been doing it and banging and, you know, repping these hoods for all these years. Hopefully y'all can use this information. We all can use this information to better ourselves in our community. You know what I'm saying? We out here working. We want to reflect on the past, and we want to be able to use this information to correct our futures. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to have this stuff and just have the information and not use it. Make sure y'all learning. New York, we invented the remix. We remixed a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was sanctioned. And look at all the lives that were lost for stuff that was just fugazi in our world, New York word. Fugazi. Like, you know, when I think back at that, you know, a lot of my life, you know, a lot of my sacrifices was, I wouldn't say they were in vain, because I always tried to stay on the right side of history and, you know, do the right things, even though, you know, a lot of stuff I was doing was wrong. I take accountability, responsibility for that, for all the wrong that I have done. But just to know a lot of stuff is built on lies. Like, how do we, you know, break that down? How do we analyze that? You know what I'm saying? How do we use that in our jobs, in our efforts to better our communities, and in our conversations, you know, that we're going to have moving forward from here, knowing that stuff is nonsense. I mean, you know, for y'all people that's out there that's watching us, that are working in these communities, use this information, chop these videos up, should show like, yo, a lot of this stuff is nonsense. A lot of this stuff is bullshit. I'm gonna use those words, it's bullshit. A lot of this stuff was lies, is built and based on lies. You know, a lot of us, you know, we was so deep that we said, all right, he lied, but all right, we're gonna reinvent it, and we're gonna just put the spin, we're gonna put some Sazzoon on it, and we're gonna make this better. But you know, how much could you? You know what I'm saying? How much could you really do something when the foundation is built on lies and garbage? You know what I mean? That's how I feel with that. That's how I really view that. Ourselves in our community. You double. You got something else open, KK? Close it. But
Yeah.
but that's my take on it, man. I love the information from the big bro Soul B. I love the work that he's doing out here in the community. I love that he's always going to speak truth to power, and give you the real spill. It's a lot of fake stuff going on, a lot of lies, you know, a lot of cap. I be trying to uncover the cap. Don't get me wrong. I be on it. I'm up here. I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we on it. We locked in. We on it. You know what I mean? I'm more, you know, some of us are more vocal than others. But we all sit back, and we all have the same goal. We don't want to give y'all bad information. We want to give y'all information that can help y'all in y'all daily struggles in the community with dealing with what we going through with the gang stuff that's going on today in our communities. I'm saying, and we all workers. You know, me, Moshe, we all working in the community with a lot of the guys that's going through the gang stuff. Like Moshe said, he works within his community. I work with mines in Syracuse. Some of it's not, you know, blood gang, but it's other gangs in the same culture of gang violence in our communities. We dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff we are dealing with, we are responsible for creating. You see what I'm saying? So we got to deal with that as well. So, you know, that's my take on it, man. You know, we doing what we got to do out here. We trying to give y'all information and we trying to, you know, break down that information and actually use it, so we not just, you know, going astray with it. You know what I'm saying? But,
make sure
what brothers got to say before we go, bro.
Well, I want to say, make sure tomorrow. I know KK can speak more to this, but make sure y'all tune in tomorrow for We Locked In. We have a special guest, and when I say special, I mean who's more special than Pistol Pete's father, Pistol Pete Rolak, our brother free Pistol Pete. I saw some brothers mention free Larry Hoover. That's right, free Jeff Fort, free King Blood. You know, Lord Gino, everybody. We want all of them released. Those are brothers that are sitting in cages and they shouldn't be sitting there. So yes, free Pistol Pete and his father will be here tomorrow, inshallah. Big Pete, and we're going to be interviewing him, and he's going to be talking about RICO and how it has been targeting black and brown bodies across America. So, KK, you want? Oh, and then next week, please, before KK, I know he has something to say. We're gonna do part 2 of this conversation. We're gonna have some of our brothers from out west. You know, some of the WeLockedNs from out west, from Watts and Compton. They're gonna pull up, and we're gonna have a much deeper conversation, man, and ask, you know, how can we build this bridge and rid ourselves of all of this ignorance that has unfortunately, you know, destroyed our lives and our community. So that's what we in the business of doing right now. I see Crime Valentine is in the building, but what's up, KK? Talk to us.
Yeah, I had some technical difficulties and got out, but I sit there and heard what y'all was saying. Y'all basically covered everything, but said a lot of things that I actually wanted to touch on, and especially some as far as, you know, our goals, man, and things that we're trying to reach. So this is not just content for the sake of content. You know what I'm saying? Not just going on YouTube just to be on YouTube. You know what I mean? Something that people can actually learn from, lessons that we can actually give, and hoping individuals is touched by it. And I've seen that, you know, brothers was mentioning that there is a war going on right now in certain, you know, in upstate. We don't want to perpetuate it because we don't want a lot of other people to just jumping into it and like, oh yeah, what? It's lit. And a lot of times it's not. And that be the whole purpose of you actually learning and doing the research yourselves to make informed decisions. I mean, I have to say, you mean not to be a punk, I have to say not to protect yourselves or your family, but at the same time, you need to do the research on what you're following. You need to check people's background. You need to really, really go into that, because a lot of stuff be about nothing at the end of the day. You find out this one person did this, and you're like, what? The people who started it not even going at each other? They're not even, and I done seen that countless times, bro, when so many individuals sacrificed themselves for something they thought, you know, happened, and it did, and it didn't. Like, you know, end of the day, man, we just here to unify the people and uplift the people, man, and teach. We're gonna be bringing some more content from. I don't even like saying content, but we're gonna be bringing some more information to y'all and stuff to learn, man. We got some things I'm gonna start doing Tuesday. We gonna start doing Tuesday, where we gonna be bringing organizations in and checking in with the people, checking in with certain hoods and neighborhoods, whatever, seeing what the people need. Other organizations as far as getting help with funding, credit stuff, getting into cryptocurrency stuff, like it's a lot, you know what I mean, and doing it from a perspective that we can understand it, you know, when we can actually put something together ourselves so we can be ahead of the game, you know what I mean, everything that's going on in this world right now. So it ain't gonna be, oh, we just talking, we just doing this. Like, nah, we be working on building and unifying the people and making sure we all get in a position to take care of ourselves and our family. I mean, getting locked in life, getting locked in our missions. You know what I'm saying? Getting locked in purpose. You know.
All right. And with that, man. First of all, you know, and before we close out, I can't say free all the comrades without saying free Palestine. Let me throw that out there.
I say looking like it, yeah.
You know, free my brothers and sisters over there. You know, get your hands off of Gaza, because there's a lot of atrocities going on over there, right? Oh. And that I could stay up here for hours talking about that, but that's another conversation for another time, inshallah. Listen, man, let's close out, man. Shout out to everybody.
Tomorrow night we got we got Pistol Pete Pops pulling up. You know, free Pistol Pete. We got Big Pete pulling up tomorrow night. You know what I'm saying? He gonna break down everything that's going on with the federal, with the RICO, and how
should have had 1,000+ watching.
Black youth. Yo, listen, I see y'all asking for, you know, I see y'all asking for Soul B and the Mad Dog story. You know, we'll get that for the big bro. We gonna get him back up here, you know what I'm saying? But you already know, man, this WeLockedN, man, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we got a whole new energy for 2024, you heard? WeLockedN got a whole new energy for the 2024, but we gonna stay consistent. We gonna stay on it. So make sure y'all like, share, and y'all subscribe to the channel. You already know it's WeLockedN Salute. Let's get it. Yo, peace, y'all.